Chapter 440. Chapter 440. Xiao Xiao's weird behavior. The students returned to their classrooms after planting the trees. They didn't need much supervision from the teachers, after all. If they wanted to learn, they'd learn, and if they didn't, like Zhou Ruoming, there was no point in forcing them. Meng Yao and Yushu went back to the classroom and looked at their MP4 for a while before taking out their revision materials. The bridge of college entrance exams wouldn't get wider just because they were pretty, and the two didn't want to rely on their families. They wanted to get good grades on their own. Tang Yun and Lin Yi finished planting the tree, and Tang Yin went back to her classroom to study. She'd been busy with her father's surgery and her relationship with Lin Yi recently, so she didn't put much effort into her studies. If she didn't work hard, her grades would drop. As much as Tang Yin wanted to spend more time with Lin Yi, what if she couldn't get into college? After lunch, Tang Yun and Lin Yi went to the food street behind the school to see Mrs. Tang before going back to their respective classrooms. Xiao Xiao sat in her seat, eating her lunch. She was alone, and there was no one around. Lin Yi walked over, and Xiao Xiao only raised her head to look at him before going back to eating. This restaurant's lunch isn't clean. I ate it before and there was a fly in it, Lin Yi said with a smile as he looked at the logo on Xiao Xiao's lunch. Uff. Xiao Xiao spat out the rib she just put in her mouth before glaring at Lin Yi. Did you do that on purpose? Ha! I was just reminding you. Lin Yi shrugged. Sitting at the same table with Xiao Xiao made Lin Yi feel uneasy. He had to think of a way to get rid of her. Xiao Xiao looked at Lin Yi hatefully. Fine, you asked for it. She'd thought that blowing up his butt was a bit too much, but since you're so evil, she'd make sure to make a fool out of you tonight. Humph. Pin Liang sent a text to Xiao Xiao, informing her that he could move on to the next step of his plan when it was time for the night self-study session. Xiao Xiao wasn't worried that Lin Yi wouldn't come out to watch the show. Since Yushu and Meng Yao were going out, there was no way that Lin Yi, a bodyguard and follower, wouldn't stay out. As expected, Yushu received Pin Liang's message as well. Yao Yao, let's go get some fresh air. It's so boring in the classroom. Now. Meng Yao frowned. She'd just started on a set of math simulations, and Yushu was already leaving before she could even finish the first question. Yeah, I heard someone was setting off fireworks in the field. Let's go check it out. Yushu said. Fireworks? It can't be that Zhong Pingliang guy, right? Meng Yao wasn't stupid. She guessed what was going on immediately. Ha ha! Yeah, Yao Yao, are you coming? Yushu didn't hide the fact that Meng Yao had guessed it. No. Meng Yao shook her head. I can't go myself if you don't want to, can I? It's already dark outside and it's scary. What if I get scared? Yushu said as she grabbed Meng Yao, wanting to drag her out by force. You can get scared? Meng Yao didn't believe it. You killed all the ghosts in the theme park. But Yushu insisted, and Meng Yao had no choice but to stand up and go with her. Pin Liang's going to set off fireworks to confess to Meng Yao. Aren't you going to go check it out? Xiao Xiao explained, seeing that Lin Yi wasn't planning on getting up. Fireworks? Lin Yi thought that the two girls were going to the washroom, so he didn't pay much attention. But now that Xiao Xiao said this, he really had to go check it out. As for Xiao Xiao knowing about this beforehand, Lin Yi wasn't surprised at all. She hung out with Pin Liang all the time, so of course she knew about his plans. But Lin Yi was a little puzzled. Why would Xiao Xiao be so kind as to warn him? Did she have some other purpose? Lin Yi stepped out of the classroom, and Xiao Xiao followed right behind him. Lin Yi felt someone following him, and when he turned the corner, he saw Xiao Xiao's silhouette through the glass of the staircase. She really did follow him. Lin Yi smiled faintly. Xiao Xiao probably wouldn't let what happened yesterday go that easily. She'd been silent all this time, waiting for the right moment to explode. The forest behind the school was already filled with students who'd gotten the news. There were students from first grade to third grade, and even some middle school students who'd been out of school were attracted here. It seemed like the news of Pin Liang's fireworks had gotten out a long time ago, and it had already attracted this much attention. Pinliang and Xiaofu stood beside a tree filled with fireworks and notes. Pinliang hated Yushu as much as he wanted to, since his butt was still swollen from Yushu's poke. Yushu had almost destroyed his butt, and it was still swollen up. How could a needle for a tree be poked into a person's body? Pinliang, on the other hand, had no choice but to maintain a smile on his face. He needed Yushu's help to invite Meng Yao to the Nightless Club's courtship party. Liang Bro, Meng Yao, and Yushu are here, and Lin Yi isn't far behind them. Xiaofu whispered to Pinliang. I saw them. Go get Meng Yao and Yushu, and tell Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao to come in as well. I've already told Xiao Xiao what to do later. Just wait for Lin Yi to get into trouble. Pinliang said quietly. Okay, Liang Bro. Xiaofu nodded and made a path for the students. Move aside, everyone. Let today's female lead in. Xiaofu's words were very useful to normal students in school. Meng Yao, Yushu, Liang Bro's ready. We're just waiting for you. Xiaofu made a gesture. We'll just watch from here, but we're going. Meng Yao didn't want to get close. She wasn't interested in this nightless fireworks party at all. Yao, let's go. We can't see it from here. Yushu pulled Meng Yao over, not letting her say anything. I still want to keep giving Pinliang the 4. Ow. Meng Yao had no choice but to let Yushu pull her over. She knew her best friend's personality, too. She just liked watching the fun, not helping Pinliang. Lin Yi followed from afar, and Xiao Xiao followed as well. But this time, Xiao Xiao passed Lin Yi and went to help Pinliang. Chapter 441. Chapter 441. Unlucky Xiao Xiao. Tonight's female lead, school beauty Miss Meng Yao, has arrived. Let's invite our male lead to light up the fireworks of his love for her. Gao Xiaofu had gotten his hands on a megaphone that street vendors used to sell vegetables. He held it up like an MC and shouted. Meng Yao frowned. This was what annoyed her the most. Pinliang would always come up with all sorts of weird ideas, like writing blood letters and whatnot. Meng Yao was speechless. How could this guy be even more stupid than Shu? Plus, he was the real one, and Shu was the fake one. Xiao Xiao acted like she didn't care when she walked past Lin Yi, picking up a string of firecrackers on the ground and sticking it into Lin Yi's pants. She didn't stop and went off to do something else. Huh. Lin Yi smiled faintly. So this was what this girl was planning. She wanted to blow him up with firecrackers? Was she thinking too much? But Lin Yi didn't expose her immediately. He pretended like he didn't see anything, his eyes still on Meng Yao and Yushu. Xiao Xiao's heart was pounding as well. Lin Yi wasn't a normal person after all. What if he found out? There were a lot of people in the field, and it was noisy, but Lin Yi's awareness wasn't low either. But Xiao Xiao didn't see any reaction from Lin Yi after hanging the firecracker on his butt. She breathed out in relief, thinking that Lin Yi was probably focused on Meng Yao and Yushu, ignoring everything else around him. Pinliang was about to light up the fireworks on the tree when Xiao Xiao sneakily hid behind Lin Yi with a lighter. She'd light up the firecracker on Lin Yi's body as Pinliang lit up the fireworks. That way, it'd make it look like Pinliang's fireworks were too intense and half of the firecracker was blown over. If Lin Yi wanted to blame someone, he'd only have himself to blame for being in the wrong place. Whoosh! Pinliang lit up the fireworks, one that he'd ordered from the factory as well. It would form the words Yao Yao, I love you in the air. It looked simple, but he'd spent a lot of money on it. At the same time, Xiao Xiao lit up the firecracker on Lin Yi's butt, gleefully turning around to hide. Huh. Lin Yi smiled faintly as he quickly removed the firecracker from his body and hung it on Xiao Xiao's butt, tying a dead knot. But the tragic thing was that Xiao Xiao was so focused on running that she didn't even realize that Lin Yi had hung the firecracker on her butt. After a few steps, she realized that she was dragging something behind her, hitting her leg. She turned around, confused, and screamed. Ah! Xiao Xiao was going crazy. Wasn't the firecracker on Lin Yi? Why was it on her? She raised her head to look at Lin Yi, only to see Lin Yi nodding at her with an evil smile on his face. Xiao Xiao wanted to remove the firecracker on her back, but she realized that Lin Yi had tied a dead knot that she couldn't untie at all. The fuse was about to burn out, and Xiao Xiao was starting to panic. She couldn't just take off her pants in front of the whole school, could she? That'd be so embarrassing. Just as Xiao Xiao was hesitating, the fuse burned out, and the firecrackers started exploding. Xiao Xiao was scared out of her wits as she ran over to Pin Liang yelling, "Help! Water, do you have water?" Pin Liang was feeling proud of his work, preparing to shock everyone with the words "Yao Yao, I love you" in the sky when he heard Xiao Xiao's cry for help. Wah! Pin Liang's eyes went wide as he stared at the firecracker exploding behind Xiao Xiao's. But wasn't she the one hanging on Lin Yi? How did it end up on her body? Xiao Xiao had even given him a signal to tell him to follow the plan after she'd hung up the firecracker. Why did the firecracker switch positions all of a sudden? Lil sis Xiao Xiao. Pin Liang looked at Xiao Xiao confused. Don't talk so much. Get me some water to put out the firecrackers. Xiao Xiao was panicking. She didn't have the time to explain to Pin Liang. The firecrackers were already up to her pants, and they were about to reach her, but water! Water! Pin Liang looked around, but there was no water around here. He did get a few buckets of water when he planted the trees, but they were all poured into the soil. The firecrackers were already on Xiao Xiao's, but as Pin Liang was hesitating, burning a couple of holes in her, but Xiao Xiao was on the verge of crying, and she couldn't care less about her image anymore as she rolled around on the ground, finally extinguishing the firecrackers. However, the fabric of her pants was already burnt beyond recognition, and it hurt. Xiao Xiao was sure that even her underwear was showing, and so she didn't even dare stand up. Her eyes were filled with grievance, and she wanted to cry, but she gritted her teeth and didn't cry. I'm Xiao Xiao, I can't cry. I don't need other people's pity. Crying is just a sign of weakness. Xiao Xiao took a deep breath and sat on the ground. Take off your shirt and give it to me. My shirt? Pin Liang blinked. Hurry up. Don't waste time. Xiao Xiao frowned. All right. Pin Liang couldn't afford to piss off Xiao Xiao, be it her background or herself. Pin Liang couldn't afford to offend her at all. Since Xiao Xiao had spoken, Pin Liang had no choice but to take off his shirt and give it to her. Xiao Xiao took Pin Liang's jacket and quickly wrapped it around her waist before walking out of the crowd. Heading for the school gates, Xiao Xiao didn't feel good at all. She'd wanted Lin Yi to embarrass himself, but now she was the one being humiliated. She didn't notice if the crowd was laughing at her, but she was sure that she was the laughingstock now. Getting her but blown up by firecrackers, and she was a girl. This was as embarrassing as it could get. Lin Yi, I'm going to eat you up. Xiao Xiao was going crazy as she sat in her car, gritting her teeth and using the steering wheel as if it was Lin Yi, smashing it violently before she finally calmed down. Chapter 442. Chapter 442. Remedy Pin Liang naturally didn't wear a lot of clothes in the summer. He only had a casual shirt on, and after giving it to Xiao Xiao, he was shirtless. It didn't seem to fit the image of him confessing to Meng Yao, and it made the surrounding students snicker. Pin Liang's face darkened as he raged. What are you laughing at? Have you never seen a man as strong as me? It was fine if Pin Liang didn't say anything, but the moment he did, the students started laughing. The law didn't punish the masses. These students were usually afraid of Pin Liang, but in the dark night, they couldn't tell who was laughing and who wasn't. Pin Liang couldn't do anything to them. Yao Yao, please let me use fireworks to express my love to you. Pin Liang raised his head, wanting to point at the fireworks in the sky to confess to Meng Yao, only to realize that the fireworks were almost done. Xiao Xiao had asked for his clothes at the same time, but everyone's attention was on Xiao Xiao, and no one noticed the words Yao Yao, I love you in the sky. Pin Liang's effort was wasted. The fireworks were gone. They were all gone. Pin Liang didn't know what to say after that. What could he say without the help of fireworks? Go see if there are any more fireworks. Pin Liang ordered Xiaofu, his face livid. Gao Xiaofu hurriedly ran to the Eskimo tree to check on the few fireworks, but it seemed that they had all been set off. There was nothing left to set off. Gao Xiaofu did not give up. He used a lighter to light up the fireworks. However, the sky was already dark and he could not see clearly. He accidentally used a branch as a fuse, and with a whoosh, the Eskimo tree was set on fire. Pin Liang didn't know what was going on at first, thinking that Xiaofu was making fireworks again. But then he realized that something wasn't right. Why wasn't the fireworks shooting into the sky? Why was it burning on the tree? Liang bro, it's bad. I lit the tree on fire. Gao Xiaofu patted the fire a few times but failed to extinguish it. He became anxious and shouted, Brother Liang, come and help. Huh. Xiaofu's actions drew a round of laughter. Pin Liang's confession had turned into a farce. Put out the fire. Get someone to get water. Pin Liang ran over with a dark face, looking at his Eskimo tree. He wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Oh, Yao Yao, I see the fire tree, but I don't see the silver flowers. Yushu cried out in surprise. Shu, let's stay away from this kind of idiotic behavior. It's easy to cause a fire. Meng Yao was speechless at Pin Liang's actions, especially Xiao Xiao's. What was Xiao Xiao trying to do just now? Wait, Yao Yao sis, I have to remind them. With that, Yushu called out to Pin Liang. Break the bottle and use the water inside to put out the fire. Oh, right. Pin Liang nodded quickly before instructing Xiaofu to carry out the task. Yushu giggled and left with Meng Yao. Shu, you're getting worse and worse. How much is there in the bottle? How could it be used to extinguish a fire? You're a scammer, Meng Yao said. Who told him to believe it? Yao sis wouldn't have been scammed. That means Pin Liang's a big idiot, Yushu said confidently. The next day, Xiao Xiao didn't come to school, and Lin Yi was happy to have some peace and quiet. He didn't know that Xiao Xiao was lying on the bed, cursing him. If curses could kill, Lin Yi would have died in all sorts of ways already. Lin Yi, you bastard. I'm going to flush you down the toilet. Xiao Xiao didn't even dare go to the washroom. But was burning with pain, and the firecrackers were all red and white. She'd applied Dr. Kang's Jinchuang medicine, but it was good for external injuries. It wasn't very effective on burns like this. This Dr. Kang is clearly a scammer. It's useless, and he's selling it at such a high price. I'll blow his whole family up the next time I see him. Xiao Xiao thought hatefully. Pin Liang had a bitter look on his face as well. He'd put so much effort into planning the confession yesterday, but it had ended in a farce. It made him angry, but he couldn't vent it out. Xiao Xiao was the one who'd ruined it, and even if he wanted to complain, he didn't dare say anything. What the hell happened yesterday? Didn't they say they'd hang the firecrackers on Lin Yi's butt? How did it turn into Xiao Xiao? Pin Liang was punished by Wang Jifeng. He was no longer the nephew of a shareholder, but a normal student who paid for his own expenses. Who knows? I saw Xiao Xiao sneaking over to Lin Yi's side, but I didn't see what happened after. Xiaofu shook his head. What a waste of a good opportunity. Pin Liang wasn't happy. He clenched his fists and released them weakly. I'm about to graduate. I don't know if I still have a chance. Liang bro, I think you messed things up yesterday, but you've already expressed your feelings. Meng Yao should know what you're thinking. So the process isn't important. What matters is the result. Xiaofu analyzed. Why don't you ask Yushu and see if Meng Yao's interested? All right, that's the only way. Pin Liang nodded. After the first class, Pin Liang sent Yushu a text, asking her to meet him in front of the classroom. Liang Yi, you're looking for me? Yushu went to meet him without hesitation. Pinliang didn't have any feelings for her. He just wanted to ask about Meng Yao. Haha. Yeah, Shu, I'm really sorry about yesterday. I messed things up. What did Meng Yao say? Pinliang asked carefully. Yao Yao. She didn't say anything, but she seemed pretty disappointed. She didn't think it was fun, did she? Yushu blinked and hesitated. Man, I knew I'd disappoint her yesterday. But did she say anything to make up for it? Pinliang asked. Well, I didn't ask. Oh, right. I want to eat the fried mushrooms from the night market. Yushu stretched. I'll go buy some mushrooms at noon. I'll ask around for you later, but I might forget. Wait, I'll go get that. It's just fried mushrooms, I'll go. Pinliang hurriedly said, Shoo! Just help me ask if there's anything I can do to remedy this. All right then. Yushu nodded and went back to the classroom. Chapter 443. Chapter 443. Failure Meow noticed that Yushu was deep in thought during class. She didn't know what she was thinking about, so she asked, Shu, what on earth are you doing? What are you doing here and there? Yao Yao, I'm thinking if I have any wishes that I haven't fulfilled yet. Yushu felt that all of her wishes had been fulfilled, and there was nothing left for Pinliang to do. Wishes? Don't you want to eat shark meat? Meng Yao didn't know what Yushu was up to, so she reminded her. Oh, yes, I want to eat shark meat. Yushu waved her hands excitedly at Meng Yao's reminder. I want Pinliang to take me to eat shark meat. Pinliang? Take you to eat shark meat? Meng Yao blinked. Yeah, he asked me just now if there was anything I could do to make you happier. Yushu said. Don't go to him. If you want to eat shark meat, get Lin Yi to catch it for you. Meng Yao didn't want anything to do with Pinliang. Don't worry, Yao Yao. I'll be the one talking to Pinliang. I won't drag you into this. Yushu was already used to this sort of thing. Whatever you want. Meng Yao didn't care anymore. Yushu had done this sort of thing way too many times in the past 3 years, and Meng Yao was already numb to it. But Meng Yao was a little doubtful. How could Pinliang still trust Yushu after falling for it so many times? It was the last class of the morning, and Pinliang decided to skip it altogether. He brought Xiaofu to the night market and bought 2 servings of fried mushrooms before returning to school. He finally managed to get the 2 servings in front of Yushu before the lunch break. Oh, I'll tell you after I'm done. It won't be crispy anymore when it gets cold. Yushu waved her hand, signaling for Pinliang to leave. Pinliang nodded and bowed as he returned to his seat. He and Xiaofu had bought some steamed buns, and Pinliang couldn't eat too much since he had something on his mind. When Yushu was done with the fried mushrooms, Pinliang stood up abruptly and chased after Yushu. Yushu went to toss the mushroom lunchbox at Pinliang, giggling to herself when she saw the impatient look on his face. There was actually such a foolish person. He hadn't had enough of being deceived, and he was in a hurry to be deceived. I say, Liangzi, can't you let me stop for a bit? You're following me around when I'm taking out the trash. Yushu pretended to be unhappy as she looked at Pinliang. Hee, little Shu, I'm just anxious. I'll throw it for you. Pinliang took the stuff from Yushu's hands. What did Yao Yao say? She said that what happened yesterday was okay, but she's been under a lot of pressure from school lately, and she wants to go out and have some fun. The summer camp is in May, and she wants to go out now. Yushu had already made up an excuse. Oh, going out to play? That's great. Pinliang was on the verge of cheering. His dream was to go on a date with Meng Yao. What are you thinking? How could Sister Yao Yao go out alone with you? It's not like she's your girlfriend right now. Yushu rolled her eyes at Pinliang. However, Pinliang wasn't disappointed at all. Instead, he was excited. Yushu said that she wasn't his girlfriend right now, which meant that she might be in the future. Meng Yao still had feelings for him. Pinliang was unusually happy at the thought. Shu, Where do you think Meng Yao wants to go? How about the beach? Organize a spring outing and let all of our classmates go. Otherwise, Yao Yao, sis won't go with you alone. Yushu said, Sure, no problem. It's just a spring outing, right? I'll organize it in a bit. With a goal in mind, Pinliang nodded and went to help Yushu throw out the trash. Yushu hummed a song as she went back to class after taking care of Pinliang. What surprised Dr. Kong and his family was that the trial had no effect at all. The entire family, including Dr. Kong, who'd taken the original pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, suffered from varying degrees of nausea and diarrhea, but there were no signs of detoxification at all. Other than diarrhea and sweat, there were no signs of detoxification at all. Miracle, Dr. Kong forced his weak body to sit in his study. He had no choice but to call for an emergency family meeting to discuss this matter. Xiaolong, what's the problem? Why aren't we detoxifying? Dr. Kong was confused. Even if there was something wrong with the composition of the dog poop, he'd taken the original pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. Kong Ming Ming had taken half of it, and there were obvious effects. He'd taken the other half. So why was he no different from someone who'd eaten dog poop? I don't know, Grandpa. Logically speaking, the ingredients are dog poop, and what you ate was the original pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. How could it not have any effect? Xiaolong said, feeling weak and dizzy. Could it be that it varies from person to person? Dr. Kong asked, confused. I don't think so, Grandpa. I didn't have any effects this time, either. Kong Ming Ming stood up, clutching his stomach. I can't take it anymore. I'm going to shit my pants. I need to go to the bathroom. With that, Kong Ming Ming ran out of the study with a bunch of smelly farts. But no one complained about his smelly farts, because everyone in the room was smelly today. Zhao Ming's right. He didn't have any effects either. Did something go wrong with our experiment? Dr. Kong nodded. Grandpa, I've thought of everything, but there's no way to explain it. Xiaolong shook his head. Could it be that what Zhao Ming ate was different from what you ate? Different? Wasn't it the same pill that was split into two parts? Dr. Kong frowned. I'm just guessing, and I don't have any proof right now. But now that I think about it, our research direction was wrong. Xiaolong said. We were all blinded by excitement, thinking that the most impossible thing was the most possible. That dog poop was the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. But now that we think about it, is it really that simple? So you're saying that the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing isn't dog poop? Dr. Kong calmed down and thought about it. Xiaolong's words weren't unreasonable. Something as miraculous as the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing was just dog poop, wasn't it too simple? Yes, it's just a guess, but I have two bold theories. Xiaolong was the most educated member of the Kangs, after all. His analysis was clear and logical. Chapter 444. Chapter 444. Dr. Kang's plan first. The pill that Kong Xiaobo gave us was indeed the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. But his branch has always been at odds with us, so he didn't want us to be too well off even if he gave us the pill. That's why he mixed dog poop into the pill, Xiaolong said. With Kong Xiaobo's age, he's quite capable of pulling a prank like this. So you're saying that Kong Xiaobo purposely mixed dog poop with the pill and sent it over? Dr. Kong thought about it. Xiaolong's analysis wasn't impossible, and Kong Xiaobo really could have done that, making him eat dog poop along with the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. That's a possibility. Xiaolong nodded. So the half that Zhao Ming ate earlier might have been the pill's half, and the half you ate was dog poop. Dr. Kong regretted it a little. He would have eaten it himself if he'd known this would happen. Why did he have to let Kong Ming Ming eat it? The second possibility is that something happened to the pill when it was thrown into the trash. Maybe it was mixed with dog poop, or maybe it was mixed with dog poop by accident, Xiaolong said. But no matter what, Dog poop shouldn't be the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. Our research direction is wrong. Dr. Kang's face was dark, and he didn't say a word. In fact, he didn't know what to say. It was fortunate that this had happened within the Kong family and no outsiders knew about it. Otherwise, they'd be laughing their heads off. Miracle Dr. Kang's entire family was eating dog poop. It was the biggest joke in the world. Kong Ming Ming had finished pooping by now and returned to the study. So, any conclusions? What you ate earlier might not be dog poop, but there's no way to prove it. Dr. Kong said simply, in any case, the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing isn't dog *T. This matter ends here for now. Don't tell anyone else. Kong Guifeng, Xiaolong, and the others all nodded. Nonsense. Who would take the initiative to tell others about such a shameful thing? Xiaolong, I think it's time to bring up your marriage with the Shao family's Wang Xinyan. Dr. Kong immediately thought of the Shao family's marriage after the failure of the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. All right, then I'll go to Yanjin in a few days to send the betrothal gifts and settle the marriage. Xiaolong was disappointed as well. He thought that House Kong would be able to soar into the sky this time, but it was all for naught. Yeah, it's just an engagement, so I won't be going. Guifeng, take Xiaolong with you. Dr. Kong instructed his eldest son, Kong Guifeng. Yes, father. Kong Guifeng nodded. There's one more thing, Tsuepu. I'll leave it to you. Dr. Kong turned to Tsuepu. Tsuepu paused. He was the prodigal son of the family, and there wasn't much he could do other than eat, drink, and play all day. Why was his father asking him to do something for the first time? But he was still very happy inside. The pill of life extension and toxin cleansing wasn't a success, but with Kong Ming Ming's involvement, the father and son duo were clearly valued by Dr. Kong. Dad, just tell me. I'll do my best. Tsuepu promised. You have a lot of friends in society, so pay close attention to Kong Xiaobo's family. Since that friend of Kong Xiaobo's could get his hands on the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, then he must know some master. Find out who they've been in contact with. And if there really is a master, we'll definitely get him to work for us. Dr. Kong said, I'm good at that, leave it to me. Tsuepu patted his chest and promised. With that, the matter was settled, and the farce of Dr. Kang's family solving the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing came to an end. But Dr. Kong didn't give up yet. The pill of life extension and toxin cleansing was a symbol of wealth and status. If the Kangs could really get their hands on it, then they'd be much more powerful than they were now. Xiao Xiao came to school in the afternoon, and what surprised Lin Yi was that she was still very calm. At least, there wasn't much anger on her face. It was the same as that time when Lin Yi had poured his piss on her. Nothing could be seen on her face. Lin Yi guessed that she was planning her next revenge. Lin Yi felt wronged. Why did this girl have to make life difficult for him? If he couldn't mess with her, why couldn't he just avoid her? Since you're here, then I'll leave. Lin Yi decided to skip class in the afternoon. He'd received a call from Xuemin earlier, saying that Fatty Lai had already completed the transfer of the building's ownership. As long as Lin Yi nodded, it would be transferred to Guan Xian's name. The medicine that Xuemin had applied for approval had also been approved. In the medical world, with Xuemin's connections, this wasn't a difficult matter. It was just a formality, and the medicine company was right in front of him. The only thing missing was a professional manager. Lin Yi used this chance to go to Xuemin's place to discuss the medicine company. As for Xiao Xiao, he'd leave her alone in school. Seeing Lin Yi leave, Xiao Xiao's lips curled into a subtle smile. She couldn't wait for Lin Yi to leave. She wanted to have a good talk with Kong Xiaobo about Lin Yi's weakness. From the looks of it, messing around like this wasn't a solution at all. Lin Yi's skills were far beyond his imagination, and his reflexes were also unimaginable. Even after the firecracker had been lit, he was still able to take it off his body and tie it to himself, even tying it into a knot. His reaction speed shocked Xiao Xiao. Sitting on the thick cushion, Xiao Xiao poked Kong Xiaobo's back. Do you have time? Can you tell me about your boss? Kong Xiaobo had witnessed the firecracker explosion yesterday, and he was wondering what was going on. He wanted to ask about it, but he didn't know how to ask Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao took the initiative to talk to him. Yesterday, what happened to you? Why did you get blown up by the firecrackers? Kong Xiaobo wasn't with Lin Yi yesterday, so he didn't see what happened. It was an accident. Let's not talk about that. Tell me about Lin Yi. Xiao Xiao evidently didn't want to talk about the firecrackers. You saw it too. Lin Yi left the moment I came. He's obviously avoiding me. Xiao Xiao looked at Kong Xiaobo bitterly. She was as pitiful as she could be, like a woman who got dumped. It was impossible not to sympathize with her. Chapter 445. Chapter 445. Lin Yi was stunned, right? You didn't finish what you told me last time. I want to go after Lin Yi. What do I have to do? Xiao Xiao lowered her voice. Well, I don't think it's too hard. Boss is a soft-hearted person, and he can be persuaded, but not cowed. Reality has proven that if you were to be a little more gentle and act coquettishly, Boss wouldn't ignore you anymore. Kong Xiaobo said after some hesitation. It wasn't right to talk about his boss behind his back, but Xiao Xiao was quite pitiful. She was a girl who transferred schools for the man she loved. But not only did she not receive his understanding and praise, she was even given the cold shoulder. This made Kong Xiaobo sympathize with her, and so he spoke a little more. Oh, Lin Yi can be persuaded, but not cowed, huh? Xiao Xiao couldn't help but pause after hearing Kong Xiaobo's words. Kong Xiaobo was one of the closest people to Lin Yi, and now that he said that, did that mean that there was something wrong with her strategy? It seemed that blindly trying to make Lin Yi look bad or threaten him wouldn't have any effect, and might even have the opposite effect. It seemed that she would have to change her plan in order to make Lin Yi submit. Yeah, I think that girls need to learn how to act coquettishly. Look at you, you don't even know how to act coquettishly. How could boss like you? Kong Xiaobo said matter-of-factly. You know, sis-in-law Tangyan isn't any worse than you. She's even a little taller than you. If you really like boss, then you need to be gentle. Is that so? Xiao Xiao frowned. He wanted her to be a little gentler? Be gentle to a boy? What a joke, she was Xiao Xiao. Why would she try to please a boy? Wouldn't people laugh their heads off if they found out? No, definitely not. Especially acting coquettishly. Since when did she know how to act coquettishly? She'd never acted coquettishly before, so how could she? But if she didn't do that, then Lin Yi wouldn't teach her how to race. Was racing really that important? Xiao Xiao was at a loss. She'd wanted to find Lin Yi because Lin Yi ignored her last time, and she was a little pissed off a little follower was acting all cocky with her. She'd been pissed, and finding Lin Yi was just a way to vent her frustration. Learning to race with him was just a condition. Xiao Xiao had wanted to ask Lin Yi to teach her how to race, and Lin Yi would have agreed, but he didn't even look at her. That was fine, Xiao Xiao could take it. But what she couldn't take it was that Lin Yi drenched her with his piss and tied the firecrackers to her, but with a dead knot. Tian Yi Lin too. Xiao Xiao couldn't take it anymore. She wanted revenge. This wasn't as simple as learning to race. She hated Lin Yi to the core, and she had to make Lin Yi pay a price to appease her anger. With that, Kong Xiaobo's suggestion really needed to be thought. The key was how to do it. Even if Xiao Xiao was acting coquettishly to Lin Yi, asking Lin Yi to teach her how to race, it was just a small matter to Xiao Xiao. Racing or not wasn't important anymore. She had to make Lin Yi pay, right? Xiao Xiao's eyes lit up. Since Lin Yi liked Tang Yin, then she'd really be the third party and ruin the relationship between Lin Yi and Tang Yin. Then she'd make Lin Yi fall in love with her, and then she'd dump Lin Yi. Haha! When Lin Yi couldn't pull himself out, she'd tell him the truth, and he'd probably be crying by then, wouldn't he? With that thought, Xiao Xiao was filled with fighting spirit. With her beauty, wouldn't it be easy to get Lin Yi? No matter how close he was with Tang Yin, they weren't in the same class. He and Lin Yi, on the other hand, were in the same class. They were desk mates, too. Wouldn't it be too much of a failure if he couldn't win this battle of love with Lin Yi with this kind of advantage? Xiao Xiao's expression kept changing, happy, angry, and hopeful. Kong Xiaobo thought that she'd thought it through. I'm telling you this because I pity you, but don't ruin the relationship between boss and Tang Yin. I won't. I just need to be nice to him from the sidelines, paying attention to him. I don't need him to like me. Xiao Xiao nodded. But you have to keep it a secret for me. Of course, Kong Xiaobo nodded with a smile. He did sympathize with a girl like Xiao Xiao. When Lin Yi got to the villa, he was surprised to see 2 police cars parked in front of the villa. One was Ling Shan's police car, and the other was Huaijuan's car, the one that picked him up at school last time. Lin Yi wasn't surprised that Huaijuan was here, but Lin Yi found it odd that Ling Shan was here as well. Why was she here? He pressed the doorbell, and the one who opened the door was the housekeeper, Auntie Lu. She knew Lin Yi and quickly invited Lin Yi in. She helped him get his slippers. Professor Guan is in the study, and there are 2 guests. One of them is Mr. Yang, whom you know. Got it. I'll go find them myself. I know the other one too. Lin Yi smiled. All right. Auntie Lu didn't say anything else after hearing that Lin Yi knew them. She went back to her work. Lin Yi knocked on the door, and Xu Amin's voice came from inside. Is this Yi? You're here already? It's me. Lin Yi opened the door and nodded with a smile. He was startled by a figure walking up to him. He wanted to dodge, but when he saw who it was, Lin Yi could only smile bitterly. Huaijuan gave Lin Yi a bear hug as he laughed. How's my body now? Lin Yi rolled his eyes. You won't die for now, but you'll have to wait if you want to get your strength back. I can get my strength back. Huaijuan blinked at Lin Yi's words, but it quickly turned into joy. Eagle. Lin Yi, are you saying that I can get my strength back? When have I ever said that? Lin Yi shrugged. Ling Shan, however, curled her lips in disdain before Huaijuan could say anything. It happens all the time. Miss Braindead, no one will think you're a mute if you don't talk. Lin Yi wasn't happy with Ling Shan's interruption. He glared at her. Stop begging me next time. Just think of the things I promised you before as nothing but empty promises. Young bro, look, he's bullying me. Ling Shan said pitifully as she looked at Huaijuan. Chapter 446. Chapter 446. The other side of Ling Shanlin, he almost fell on his, but he was shocked by Ling Shan's sudden change in gender. Haha, Song, you should find a man who can control you or you'll be too wild. Huaijuan said with a smile. Ah, young bro, what are you talking about? What man? Ling Shan's eyes were wide open, her face red as she glared at Huaijuan. Girls have to get married. Huaijuan, however, didn't mind at all. Plus, I need to ask Lin Yi for help, too. You ask him too? Ling Shan had always been suspicious of Lin Yi's identity. Even if he was a very strong bodyguard, there was no reason for Huaijuan to praise Lin Yi like this. After all, Huaijuan didn't admire people that easily, and yet he was lowering himself in front of Lin Yi. It was something that Ling Shan couldn't understand. Huaijuan had retired from that mysterious organization, and while he was injured and not as strong as he used to be, he'd still had his glory days, and he was brave and smart. There was no way he'd praise someone so easily. But as for Lin Yi, Ling Shan really couldn't figure out what sort of connection the two had. The most suspicious thing was that Huaijuan had almost lost his composure the first time he met Lin Yi. Huaijuan nodded seriously. I'm begging him to treat me now. Huaijuan wanted to play matchmaker for Lin Yi and Ling Shan. The Song family wasn't weak, but they didn't interfere with Ling Shan's marriage too much, especially since the Song family came from an ancient martial arts house. They worshipped strength, and so Elder Song was very supportive of Ling Shan's decision to find a man who could beat her. Lin Yi, on the other hand, fit the bill perfectly. This alone was enough for Lin Yi to give it a try. But what troubled Huaijuan was Ning. He knew that Lin Yi wouldn't be accepted by her family, but he couldn't help but help her again and again. What kind of mentality was this? He had buried the feelings he had for Xiao Ning in the depths of his heart and turned it into the protection of her happiness. Ling Shan didn't know what to say. She'd thought that Huaijuan would be able to give her some courage today, but it seemed that she'd miscalculated. Huaijuan couldn't order Lin Yi around. You doubted me before, so we're off the deal, Lin Yi said as he sat down on the sofa beside Ling Shan. Ling Shan almost vomited blood from regret after hearing Lin Yi's words. She wouldn't have said that if she'd known this would happen. She'd thought that Huaijuan would back her up, only to realize that she'd made a huge mistake. Ling Shan gritted her teeth as she looked at that "I don't need your help, so don't bother me" look on Lin Yi's face, but there was nothing she could do. She wanted to ease up her relationship with Lin Yi, so she kicked Lin Yi. "Hey, why you so stingy? It's not a matter of being stingy, it's a matter of principle. I won't help you. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was quite relaxed. He didn't want to get involved in Ling Shan's business anymore. He wouldn't have bothered if it weren't for Huaijuan. Now that the opportunity presented itself, Lin Yi pushed it away cleanly. Ling Shan glared at him, but there was nothing she could do. After some hesitation, she pulled on the corner of Lin Yi's shirt and whispered into his ear. "Miss Brain Dead was wrong, all right? Just forgive her this once." Ling Shan's body was trembling as she spoke. Since when had she ever lowered herself to someone like this? But in front of Lin Yi, she had no choice but to lower herself. Why was she so unlucky? He had her in his palm, and she didn't even have a chance to turn things around. All right, I'll forgive you this once then. Lin Yi was moved by Ling Shan. He didn't think that this girl would be able to move Lin Yi's heart when she acted like a spoiled child. All beautiful girls were cute. The key was whether or not they knew how to show their cute side. Lin Yi came to a conclusion. It seemed that he was being kind after all. This wasn't a good sign. What if a female assassin acted like a spoiled child in the future? Would he let her go? Ling Shan's voice was soft, and Guan Xuemin couldn't hear it, but Huaijuan, who was sitting beside her, heard it loud and clear. Huaijuan was strong, and while he was injured and dropped a level, he was still a golden class early phase at his peak. His hearing was naturally better than a normal person's, and he almost fainted when he heard what Ling Shan said to Lin Yi. Was this still the Ling Shan he knew? Ling Shan would show her little girl side in front of him, but that was only because she saw him as a big brother, an elder. There was no other meaning behind it. But as for Lin Yi wasn't even as old as her, was he? Could it be that Song had fallen for him this time? Huaijuan was suspicious, but he could only pretend that he didn't hear it. This was a matter of a girl's face. She might be able to say that in front of Lin Yi, but if other people heard it, she'd probably kill herself. Ling Shan glared at Lin Yi hatefully, but she'd gotten an answer she was satisfied with. She turned her head away and ignored him. Xu Amin didn't know what was going on, but his instincts told him that Lin Yi and Ling Shan's relationship wasn't normal. He sighed inwardly. He'd seen his granddaughter's feelings for him, and if it were any other boy, he'd have the confidence to make it happen. But this was Lin Yi, and he didn't have any confidence at all. First of all, Lin Yi's medical skills were better than his, and second, Lin Yi should be different in other areas other than his medical skills. He was very outstanding. This was something he could tell from the conversation between Ling Shan and Lin Yi. Wait a bit. Yang and Song have something to talk to me about, and they've just arrived. We'll talk about other things after they're done, Xu Amin said to Lin Yi. He'd become closer to Lin Yi, and he'd already considered Lin Yi as half a family member. He didn't need to be too polite. Yeah, it's fine. I'll sit here for a bit, Lin Yi said before looking at Huaijuan. Should I leave for a bit? With that, Lin Yi was about to stand up. Lingshan wanted to drag Lin Yi back with her claws. She'd wanted Lin Yi's help with this, so why did he have to leave? It's fine. You can listen in as well. You'll be able to help if you find any clues, Huaijuan said with a wave of his hand. Chapter 447. Chapter 447. Rolling Ines expected. Lin Yi nodded and sat back down on the sofa. Then let's hear it. Huaijuan didn't waste any time, getting straight to the point. Grandpa Guan, I've brought Song here because I want to use your connections to get some information. Yang, don't be so courteous, just say it. Xu Emin waved his hand, knowing that Huaijuan had to have something important to discuss with him. Just come over if you need anything next time, Song. Thank you, Professor Guan, Lingshan said quickly. It's like this, Grandpa Guan, there's been an illegal organ trafficking organization recently taking beggars, homeless people, and even disabled people in the city and cutting out their kidneys or corneas. It's gotten to a point where they don't care about anything, Huaijuan said. So I'd like you to help me find out where all the big hospitals get their corneas transplanted, hoping to find some clues. That's easy, but I can only ask around. Those who've already undergone surgery. Even if the organ comes from an illegal source, I can't ask them to cut it out again. Xu Emin said. Naturally, that's a little inhumane, but those involved in the illegal trade still have to be punished. Huaijuan said. Please help me, Grandpa Guan. I'll give Xiang a call. He's a shareholder of many hospitals, and he's more informed than I am. Xu Emin nodded. The Xiang that Xu Emin was talking about was Xu Emin's youngest son, Guan Xiaoxiang, who was also Guan Xian's father. He held shares in many hospitals, and together with Guan Xian's mother, he owned a private hospital in Songjiang. He was one of the most famous doctors in the province. Haha, with Uncle Xiang and Aunt Lan's help, we should be able to get some information. Huaijuan nodded. The Aunt Lan he was talking about was Guan Xiaoxiang's wife, Guan Xian's mother. Huaijuan had brought Lingshan here mainly to ask for Xu Emin's help, and now that they were done, Xu Emin had agreed without hesitation. There was no need for them to stay any longer. Xu Emin obviously had other things to discuss with Lin Yi, too, and so Huaijuan got up to leave. We'll be going then, Grandpa Guan. We're a little busy here at the bureau. I'll come see you another day. Go ahead. Come back for dinner another day. Guan Xu Emin nodded. Wait, Lin Yi stopped Huaijuan. I've prepared the medicine for your second course of treatment, but I didn't bring it today. Come to my school tomorrow? All right, but I've been transferred to a nearby city to help investigate a big case. I'll be pretty busy, so send Song over if I don't have the time. Huaijuan nodded. I won't say too many thank yes, it's all said. You're busy. Aren't you afraid of dying of exhaustion? Lin Yi shrugged. I didn't see you so busy before I treated you. Haha, the more capable you are, the more things you can do. I'm pretty much fine now, aren't I? Huaijuan said, a little embarrassed. Plus, I'm creating opportunities for you and Song, aren't I? Wah. Lin Yi's eyes went wide, and so did Lingshan. Lin Yi was a little speechless. Why was Huaijuan always trying to get him and Lingshan together? Lingshan, on the other hand, was surprised that Yang Bro would act so frivolously in front of Lin Yi. He must have been led astray by the kid. That had to be it. She'd make sure to teach Lin Yi a lesson the day she could turn things around. But it didn't seem like she could turn things around just yet. She still had to work hard. After sending Huaijuan and Lingshan off, Lin Yi returned to Guan Xu Emin's study. Guan Xu Emin was on the phone when Lin Yi came in. I called Mr. Lai. He'll be here soon. Mr. Lai? Fatty Lai, right? Lin Yi froze for a moment before reacting. Ha, that's him. Guan Shuami naturally couldn't call Lai Chang'e Fatty Lai. The two hadn't spoken much when voices came from outside the study, and a ball-like person rolled into the study. Fatty Lai had been here before, so Aunt Lu recognized him. He was let in as soon as he arrived. But Fatty Lai heard from Guan Shuamin that Lin Yi was here as well, so he panicked a little. He really wanted to see Lin Yi. He hadn't seen him since the birthday banquet, so he tripped at the door and rolled into the study. Lin Yi jumped at Fatty Lai. What kind of martial arts are you practicing? Even if you wanted to come in quickly, you didn't have to come in like this, did you? Haha. It's a mistake, I tripped and fell. Fatty Lai was a little embarrassed. Miracle Dr. Lin, I finally get to see you. I miss you so much. Sob sob. I thought you didn't want me anymore, that I'd never see you again. You don't know how excited I was when Professor Guan called me. I wasn't even as excited as I was when I got married. All right, just stay away from me, I'm a little scared. I don't doubt your sexual orientation, but I'm still wary of you, Lin Yi said after getting a meter away from Fatty Lai. It's okay. I'm happy to see you, Miracle Dr. Lin. Fatty Lai didn't mind that Lin Yi looked down on him at all. He took out a document from his backpack. Miracle Dr. Lin, please have a look. The building's ownership has been transferred to Miss Guan Xian's name. As soon as Miss Guan Xian signs it, the contract will come into effect. Oh, isn't your new company in the building? What are you going to do if it's all transferred? Lin Yi asked curiously. I'm a tenant now, and I'll pay the rent on time, Fatty Lai said. Miracle Dr. Lin, you're not kicking me out, are you? Lin Yi thought that Fatty Lai was a little troublesome, but he didn't have a reason to kick him out. He'd given his building to you, and it wasn't right to kick him out. I won't, just stay here. Don't worry about the rent. Lin Yi waved his hand. Ha, I'll stay here then. Fatty Lai had made up his mind. He was going to stick to Lin Yi. He could see that being close to Lin Yi would bring him a lot of benefits in the future. Lin Yi wasn't familiar with him before, and he didn't really like him, but it didn't matter. They'd get to know each other after a while. Wasn't everything good now? At least Lin Yi was willing to see him, and that was a good start. Chapter 448. Have a bad attitude. Fatty Lai was basically giving this skyscraper to Lin Yi for free. Lin Yi felt that he should return something to Fatty Lai, so he decided to ask about his father's condition. Fatty Lai froze when he heard Lin Yi's question. He couldn't believe his ears, but he was overjoyed when he confirmed that there was nothing wrong with his hearing. Fatty Lai burst into tears, his eyes brimming with hot tears. He felt that all his hard work had finally paid off. Lin Yi didn't want to see him before, didn't want to talk to him, but now he took the initiative to ask about his father's illness. This made Fatty Lai feel flattered. Sob sob. Miracle Dr. Lin, I knew you were a good person. You would care about my father. Fatty Lai was about to kneel down in front of Lin Yi. I thank you on behalf of my father. All right, stop. Stop right now. Lin Yi was scared out of his wits by Fatty Lai's actions. Don't be like that. If you do that again, I won't ask next time. I shouldn't have said so much. Don't. I won't cry, sob sob. I'm just moved. I'm crying tears of joy. Fatty Lai quickly stood up and wiped his tears. Fatty Lai lived up to his nickname as a crybaby. His tears came and went quickly, and he was all smiles again. As long as you don't cry, you can call me normally next time. Lin Yi was a little speechless. He really admired this guy. In order to make him cry a few times less, Lin Yi gave him phone privileges. Really? That's great, Miracle Dr. Lin. Fatty Lai was so excited that he was about to cry again, but when he remembered what Lin Yi said just now, he stopped crying. Now, let's talk about your father's condition. He has uremia, right? Lin Yi waved his hand to stop Fatty Lai. Even if the guy didn't cry, he'd still be dawdling. Yes, uremia. After taking half of the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, there's a clear effect. He's already awake, and he's in much better spirits. All his vitals are starting to improve. But the doctor said that he's still not completely recovered. Although the treatment can be maintained, I don't know if it'll worsen. Fatty Lai said worriedly, "Have you had a kidney transplant before?" Lin nodded and asked, "No, he's too old. I'm afraid he won't be able to get off the operating table. The doctor doesn't recommend surgery either." Fatty Lai said honestly, "That's easy." Lin said, "Well, I'll write down some traditional Chinese medicine. You go out and buy it for me. I'll make it and let your father drink it for a week. After a week, he'll come here to change the dressing." "Ah, all right. Thank you, Miracle Dr. Lin." Fatty Lai was beyond excited. He felt like he'd finally bet on the right treasure. It seemed like Miracle Dr. Lin was a kind person. After all his coaxing and pestering, Miracle Dr. Lin was finally willing to help. Lin didn't completely trust Fatty Lai yet, so he didn't ask him to buy all the important ingredients for the first time. He only wrote down the names of the herbs needed for the first course of treatment. The dosage wasn't precise either, around 5 ounces of each herb. He even wrote down the names of a few useless ones. Fatty Lai carefully took the prescription from Lin afraid that he'd lose it. He put it in his pocket and rushed out to buy the herbs. After sending Fatty Lai away, Lin let out a sigh of relief. He turned to Xuemin. "Grandpa Guan, are the procedures for the pharmaceutical company and the approval of the herbs done?" "Yeah, these are all small things. I don't need to do anything. I've asked Xiang to do it. They'll be here soon." Xuemin nodded. As they were talking, there was a knock on the door, and then the door was pushed open. "Dad, I brought the ingredients you wanted." A middle-aged man walked in. His face looked like Xuemin's. He must be Xuemin's son, Guan Xiaoxiang. "Just leave it here." "Oh, right, let me introduce you. This is the Lin I mentioned to you, Mr. Lin." Xuemin introduced Lin to Xiaoxiang. "Hello, Uncle Guan." Lin quickly got up to greet him. After all, Xiaoxiang was his elder, and Lin didn't dare to be careless. However, Xiaoxiang's attitude towards Lin was very calm. He nodded and said indifferently, "Hello, Mr. Lin." If Lin called Xiaoxiang uncle, then he shouldn't have called Lin Mr. Lin. Even if he was being polite, he shouldn't have been so cold. Lin smiled bitterly. He didn't know how he had offended Xiaoxiang. He felt awkward and didn't know what to say. Xuemin tried to smooth things over. "Xiaoxiang, are you busy at the company?" "Not bad," Xiaoxiang said indifferently. "Dad, why did you suddenly think of starting a company? I thought you didn't like to use your own name to do things. Don't get confused when you're old. Be careful that your reputation will be ruined." "Xiaoxiang, what nonsense are you talking about?" Xuemin's face suddenly became gloomy. He glared at his son. "Are you okay? If not, you can leave. I'm very busy at the company. I came back to deliver the ingredients to you. Of course I have to hurry back." Xiaoxiang said indifferently, "I'm just reminding you. Don't be fooled." After saying that, Xiaoxiang looked at Lin then turned around and left the room. He didn't say anything else and quickly left the villa. The sound of the door closing could be heard from outside. This kid, Xuemin, was so angry that he couldn't breathe. He smiled bitterly and shook his head. He said to Lin don't mind him. "Ah, Uncle Guan is doing this for your own good. He's afraid that I'm a scammer." Lin smiled, showing that he understood. Actually, what Xiaoxiang said was not wrong. Although it was a bit disrespectful, he was standing on the side of a family and reminding Xuemin not to be fooled. It was just that the way he expressed it was a bit too direct. He could have said it after Lin left, but Lin didn't care about that. It's not against you. Xuemin shook his head. This kid still hates me. He's still brooding about what happened in the past. What happened in the past? Lin, he was a bit surprised. That eldest son of mine, I've told you before. He's a lazy, jobless man. He relied on my reputation to rope in some pharmacists and started a medical business. He's doing quite well, Xuemin said. So, when my youngest son was about to graduate from university, he teamed up with a classmate he was close to and wanted to set up a clinic under my name. I rejected him, harshly. So, he's still brooding about me using my name to set up a medical company with you. Chapter 449. The company's planning, probably. He's already an adult. But he's still acting like a child. Guan, Xuemin smiled. Actually, he knows that I'm not an idiot. That's why he helped me with the paperwork so quickly. What he said just now wasn't directed at you, but at me, expressing his dissatisfaction. You've only suffered because of me. Anyone else would have done the same. I see. Lin nodded in realization. But Uncle Guan seems to be doing pretty well now. No longer relying on your family? Since then, he hasn't relied on me for anything. Guan Xuemin shook his head and said with a bitter smile. However, Xiaoxiang is lucky he found an even more powerful backer, and now he's doing very well. When he's free, he wants to prove to me that he can succeed without relying on me. Haha, I didn't think Uncle Guan had this side to him. Lin smiled. He probably knows that you are doing it for his own good, but the knot in his heart hasn't been untied yet. Of course he knows, but he's still brooding about it. Guan Xuemin said. All right, forget about him. It's been so many years I've gotten used to it. He might look like he doesn't like it, but he's still good to me. I don't even know who my parents are, haha. Lin, he was a little saddened. He'd only understood the meaning of his parents after he grew up, but he still brooded over the fact that they'd abandoned him. Fortunately, he had 2 masters who loved him dearly, and that replaced the love he'd had when he was young. Guan Xuemin paused. He'd had many guesses about Lin Yi's parentage, even thinking that Lin Yi was the descendant of the benefactor who'd taught him all those years ago. It was one of the reasons he trusted Lin Yi unconditionally, but he'd never dared to ask. On one hand, Lin Yi didn't want to talk about his parentage, and on the other, he was afraid that Lin Yi would keep it a secret. It'd only make things awkward if he didn't tell him. You don't know who your parents are? Guan Xuemin looked at Lin Yi in shock. Haha, I only have 2 masters, but they're both nice to me, treating me like their own son. They're a bit strict, but I know they're doing it for my own good. Lin Yi didn't hide his identity on purpose. There wasn't much to hide. It's good that you have this mentality, but as long as someone treats you well, regardless of whether they are your biological parents or not, you will treat them as family, right? Guan Xuemin smiled. Master. In other words, a master is like a father. Yes, that's right. Therefore, I didn't lack love in my childhood. My mentality is also very normal. Lin Yi nodded seriously. Your medical skills were taught to you by your master. Guan Xuemin hesitated for a moment before asking. Yeah, one of them taught me martial arts, another taught me medicine, and a bad master taught me how to steal and gamble. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. I see. Guan Xuemin felt a bit of a headache at the complicated relationship between Lin Yi's masters. If your medical skills are already this good, then your master... Haha, I can't say that, Grandpa Guan. Both my old man and my kung fu master are special people. I'll have to keep it a secret without their permission. Lin Yi didn't want to hide anything from Guan Xuemin, but Lin Yi couldn't say anything without his master's permission. Even people close to him, like Huaijuan, didn't know about this. It's fine, I'm just asking. Guan Xuemin was a bit disappointed, but he didn't blame Lin Yi. After all, Lin Yi was doing the right thing. Let's talk about the company. The medicines that are ready for the market right now are pain relievers and injury medicine. I can't make any decisions on the other types without the formulas. Haha, there are some formulas for the other types. But which ones are more popular? Lin, he didn't know much about business. Well, as long as it's effective, it'll sell well. Guan Shuamin said. Common cold medicine, for example. If you can make a traditional medicine with minimal side effects, it'll sell well too. But these are all established pharmaceutical companies with established formulas and brands. It's pointless for us to go in and fight for the market. It's true that the common cold medicine's formulas are already set. Even if I were to change it, it wouldn't be much of an improvement. The best way would be to supplement it with acupuncture or cupping. But that's impossible unless it's a clinic. You can't just get acupuncture and cupping for free, can you? Lin nodded with a smile. I'm not an expert when it comes to business. Actually, I'm just giving my personal opinion. Guan Shuamin said. You should hire a management expert to run the company. That's true. It's not that easy to find a professional manager. Lin knew that Guan Shuamin was speaking the truth. First of all, is the person trustworthy, and second, is he really capable? After all, the success of a pharmaceutical company depends on the professional manager's ability. I think you should ask Mr. Lai about that. He's been in the business world for a long time, and he should have some experience. It shouldn't be too hard to ask him to find a professional manager. Guan Shuamin said. At least it'll be easier than looking for one ourselves. That's true. Lin nodded. Fatty Lai left for about half an hour before rushing back with a few bags of herbs in his hands. He barged into Guan Shuamin's study. Miracle, Dr. Lin. I bought them all. With that, Fatty Lai placed the bags on the coffee table in front of Lin Yi. Lin Yi looked at the huge pile of bags in front of him, confused. Why was there so much? Even if he bought a kilo of each herb, there wouldn't be this many. Lin Yi opened a bag and checked the herbs inside. They were all packed according to his prescription. He couldn't help but feel strange. Isn't this enough? What's in the other bags? The other bags are the same, but I bought them at different points. Fatty Lai said, panting. There are a lot of scammers these days. I was afraid that I'd buy fake medicine in one pharmacy, so I thought about buying from a few more. I thought that there should be some real ones, right? Chapter 450. Volunteering himself, Lin Yi looked through the other bags of herbs. Other than a few that have been stored for a little too long, they're all real. That's good, that's good. Fatty Lai was afraid that all the herbs he bought were fake, so it was fine as long as there were real ones. Then, Miracle, Dr. Lin. Please pick the good ones and use them. All right, Grandpa Guan, do you have a furnace for decocting herbs? Lin Yi asked. Yes, I'll get Aunt Lu to bring it over. Shuamin was a traditional Chinese medicine expert, so his house naturally didn't lack equipment for decocting herbs. Then, do I need to leave for a moment? Fatty Lai was a sensible man. He was afraid that Lin Yi would be careful when he decocted the herbs, so he didn't want to attract unwanted attention. No need, just sit here. I have some things to ask you about the company's opening. Lin Yi waved his hand, gesturing for Fatty Lai to sit. Ask me? Fatty Lai was flattered, rubbing his chubby hands together. I wouldn't dare to ask for advice, but I can only make decisions. Don't worry, I'll tell you everything I know. Miracle, Dr. Lin. You're asking me to speak because you think highly of me. Aunt Lu quickly brought the decocting equipment over, and Lin nimbly picked out some fresh herbs and threw them into the frying pan. It looked like a random grab, but the amount was actually very precise. Fatty Lai was secretly amazed, but didn't think much of it. Lin Yi's medical skills weren't just for show, and this was nothing compared to his other skills. Even Shuamin was surprised by Lin Yi's speed. It seemed like Lin Yi didn't even look at the equipment before he finished the process. Fatty lie, my medicine company has two initial products ready for the market. One is a painkiller with no side effects, and the other is an injury medicine. How do you think we should advertise it? Lin Yi asked. Miracle, Dr. Lin. Is this injury medicine similar to Dr. Kang's golden creation medicine? Fatty Lai showed a shrewd face when it came to business, no longer the crybaby and soft-hearted man he was before. Almost. I haven't seen Jin Chuang medicine before, but my injury medicine can also help the wound heal quickly without leaving any scars. Lin nodded and said, That should be about it. Fatty Lai pondered for a while and said, My suggestion is to use this injury medicine first and use it to get famous. Oh, what do you mean? Lin Yi looked at Fatty Lai. Both Lin Yi and Shuamin wanted to release both medicines together, but Fatty Lai wanted to release them in batches. We will only introduce one medicine that has similar effects to the most amazing Dr. Kang's golden creation medicine in the market. This way, everyone will compare us. Fatty Lai said, They will have some doubts about our product in the beginning, but once they realize that the effects are the same as Dr. Kang's medicine, they will start to lean towards us. Of course, there are two prerequisites. One is that our product's price must be lower than theirs, and the other is that we must have sufficient supply. According to what I know, there are a few ingredients in Dr. Kang's golden creation medicine that are produced in low quantities, and they give priority to special organizations and the military. That's why they don't sell a lot in the civilian market. So if they can't buy their product, the consumers will choose us. Of course, if our product is better than theirs, then we don't have to lower the price. Or if we can't increase our production, then no matter what, the market will still be out of stock. There's no point in fighting with them for the market. Fatty Lai finished in one breath and wiped the sweat off his forehead. Lin Yi and Shuamin were stunned. They didn't expect Fatty Lai to be so skillful. Not only was he a crybaby, but he was also a genius. Then the sales of the painkillers. Lin Yi didn't have much experience in the business world, so he continued to ask humbly, As long as our injury medicine is a hit, the painkillers won't be a problem. Fatty Lai said, Once our first product hits the market and is accepted by the consumers, there's basically no need to advertise our second product. Of course, we can also hold a live press conference. I see. Lin Yi nodded, enlightened. Then, should we still hold the auction I've been planning? I'm planning to auction off a few of the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, but Lin Yi hesitated. He wasn't familiar with Fatty Lai, so he couldn't make it sound too easy to concoct the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. If he said it was like candy, then he'd have to scam an entire skyscraper off for half a pill. That'd be a huge loss, although he was the one who offered it. Lin Yi didn't want Fatty Lai to scold him behind his back. He continued, But it's not easy to concoct the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. Many of the ingredients are almost extinct, so there's a limited number of them. We can't mass produce them right now. If we auction this, won't it seem like it has nothing to do with the medicine company's products? Of course not. It's a gimmick. Fatty Lai waved his hands. This pill of life extension and toxin cleansing was really good stuff. It was wise of him to dig half a pill out of a pile of dog shit. Lin Yi probably didn't have many of these pills left. This was a priceless treasure. I thought it was a gimmick too, but from what you're saying, it doesn't seem like a gimmick anymore. Lin Yi asked. How is it meaningless? Fatty Lai waved his hand. We can announce this pill of life extension and toxin cleansing to the public. It's a limited edition ingredient because the success rate is low and the ingredients are rare. Well, we can just say that it's a limited edition ingredient given to us by the expert who provided us the recipe. The rarer something is, the greater its value. When the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing achieves good results, the price of our injury medicine will naturally rise as well. Lin nodded, thinking that Fatty Lie's idea wasn't bad. Do you know where I can hire a professional manager to manage the company? Well, Fatty Lie's eyes flashed with excitement and anticipation when he heard Lin Yi's words. His face flushed a little. What do you think of me? You? Lin Yi paused for a moment before understanding what Fatty Lie meant. You're saying you want to be a professional manager? Yeah, what do you think of me? I've been in the business world for more than 10 years. I'm quite experienced. Fatty Lie said, thumping his chest. But your trading company and real estate company. Lin Yi looked at Fatty Lie, confused. Chapter 451. Another follower Lin Yi didn't know what was wrong with Fatty Lie. Why was he abandoning his existing company and coming to a new one to be a manager? You don't want your family's business anymore. Lin Yi couldn't figure out Fatty Lie's intentions. Miracle Dr. Lin, I gave my family's business to my brother. I don't want it anymore. I don't care about it. I don't want to fight and scheme against him all the time. Fatty Lie chuckled. Besides, I think that following you will have a better future than running those family businesses. Miracle Dr. Lin, I can foresee that your company will be even more powerful than that Dr. Kang's medical group. I'll be the manager of the group and your spokesperson. Miracle Dr. Lin, won't I be the best? When my brother finds out about the importance of the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, he'll be begging me on his knees. Begging? Is that rare? Don't you always kneel and cry? Lin Yi couldn't help but admire Fatty Lie's courage. He'd abandoned his family's business to follow him. That's different. You're a miracle doctor. I wouldn't kneel and cry to anyone else, Fatty Lie said, a little embarrassed. Lin Yi thought that this guy was a natural crybaby. He didn't think that it was just directed at him. This gave Lin Yi quite a headache. You have a good idea, but this medical group of mine is just a spur-of-the-moment thing. I don't know if it can continue, or if there will be any new products. Lin Yi had to get the ugly part out of the way first. Who knew what he was going to do in the future? Even his old man didn't have a clear answer. It's fine, Miracle Dr. Lin. Why don't you take me in as your follower? Fatty Lie was a smart man. He'd seen through the facts a long time ago. Lin Yi wasn't an ordinary person, and there was no harm in following him. Fatty Lie had grown up in a rich family, so he didn't care much about money anymore. What he pursued was fame and status, and Lin Yi could help him achieve this dream. Being someone else's lackey wasn't a fun thing to do, but it depended on who it was. Fatty Lie was more than willing to be Lin Yi's lackey. How awesome was Lin Yi? People with medical skills like Lin Yi's were people that all the big families and forces would fight to curry favor with. Which one of them hadn't experienced illness and death? However, if Lin Yi could delay their deaths, why wouldn't they rush to him like a flock of ducks? At that time, even if he was just a follower, he would be Lin Yi's spokesperson outside. Lin Yi was very busy every day. How could he have time to entertain outsiders? Once this little brother of his appeared, Fatty Lie was elated just thinking about it. What was an electronics industrial park to him? His brother was really short-sighted. Look at himself. How smart was his decision? People had to be thick-skinned and crybaby. Look at himself. He was thick-skinned and a crybaby. Didn't he gain Lin Yi's favor just like that? You want to be a lackey. Lin Yi looked at Fatty Lie oddly. I don't need lackeys. Not at all. Boss Lin Yi, listen to me. Fatty Lie began to analyze, and he called Lin Yi Boss Lin Yi smoothly. Lin Yi was helpless. Boss, what kind of status do you have? When the medical corporation is established, there will be big families coming to ask for medicine. Everyone wants to see you, boss. Can you see them all? Boss is already very busy every day, and he still has to chase girls and enjoy life. How can he have time to deal with them? That's when you need a lackey to help you deal with these things. And I'm just the right person. Lin Yi thought about it. Fatty Lai's words made sense, so he said, but I already have a follower. You're talking about Kong Xiaobo? Think about it, that's not enough. Fatty Lai shook his head. How can a lackey do that? Kong Xiaobo will be by your side all day, accompanying you to school and enjoying life. He can't handle company business every day, can he? He can just be the vice chairman, and I'll be the little brother who helps you take care of the company's affairs. Lin Yi nodded, but what Lin Yi didn't mention was that he had a lackey in his old home called Gooden. But thinking about Gooden's IQ, Lin Yi shook his head. This kid could only be a fighter and a punching bag. He was all brawn and no brains. And he'll give Gooden a call one day and see what he's up to. It's been a while since he went back, and he kind of missed him. Seeing that Lin Yi was a little tempted, Fatty Lai quickly added fuel to the fire. Plus, what kind of person are you, boss? You can't just have a lackey by your side, right? Look at all the big shots who don't have a lot of lackeys around them. Each lackey has their own role. Bodyguards, personal secretaries, housekeepers, nannies, and mistresses. All right, stop wasting time. I'll reluctantly accept you as a temporary lackey. Once you pass the inspection, you'll be promoted to an official one. Lin Yi was getting impatient from Fatty Lai's words. Fatty Lai's words made sense, and so Lin Yi agreed. But he was still someone else's lackey, and now Fatty Lai was his lackey. What would it be like when he went out with the miss in the future? Even a follower has a follower. I'm afraid I've already become the most awesome follower in the history of the game. Haha, then I'll be Miracle Dr. Lin's lackey from now on. Fatty Lai was overjoyed, automatically ignoring the word temporary. Don't worry, I'll take care of this medicine company. Lin Yi was a little speechless. This Fatty Lai was even more enthusiastic than he was. It seemed that having a lackey like this would save him a lot of trouble in the future. But Lin Yi didn't fully trust Fatty Lai yet. He didn't know what kind of person this guy was, and there were some things he couldn't trust him with. He'd have to observe him for a while before deciding. He gave the concoction to Fatty Lai and sent him away. Lin Yi sat back on the sofa in Xue Min's study. Grandpa Guan, what do you think of this? You mean Mr. Lai? Xue Min asked. Why doesn't this guy seem very reliable? Lin Yi felt that Fatty Lai's way of talking and doing things didn't seem like a business elite, but more like an idiot. If it weren't for Fatty Lai's suggestions on how to run the company, Lin Yi would have thought that the kid was just a playboy. Chapter 452. Chapter 452. Guan Xuemin's sense of danger. Oh! Lin Yi paused at Xuemin's words. He hadn't expected Fatty Lai to be this capable. He'd thought the guy was just a theoretical weakling. So you're saying that Fatty Lai really wants to help? Haha, he's not an idiot. He knows that he'll have a brighter future if he follows someone. Guan Xuemin chuckled. If not for that half of the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing he picked out from the trash can, perhaps he wouldn't have made such a big decision. However, the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing gave him confidence and solidified his future direction. Lin Yi nodded. If Xue Min's information was correct, then that was the only explanation. Lin Yi was secretly impressed by Fatty Lai's foresight. He'd actually forced him to be his boss. Grandpa Guan, do you have any suggestions on how to split the shares? Now that Fatty Lai was here, Lin Yi thought about the issue of share distribution. I'm not an expert myself, but I think that half of the shares should be in your hands. Xue Min suggested after some thought. We're all on good terms right now, but it's better to be safe than sorry. If you control half of the shares, you'll have the right to speak in the future. This is very important. All right. Lin Yi wasn't worried that someone would betray him in the future, but Pingzhan Industries was a good example. Lin Yi didn't want to go through the trouble of dealing with these things, so he agreed with Xu Amin's suggestion. How about this? You and Kong Xiaobo will each take 15% of the company. Fatty Lai will need to be tested, but if he's sincere in following me, I'll give him 15%. As for the remaining 55%, I'll put it under Guan Xian's name. Oh! Xu Amin paused. He didn't know what Lin Yi was trying to do. What was he trying to achieve by putting all the shares under his granddaughter's name? If the two of them had already confirmed their relationship, then there was nothing wrong with what they did. However, according to his observation, the relationship between his granddaughter and Lin Yi was basically the same. His granddaughter was interested, but Lin Yi didn't seem to have that kind of intention. As a result, Lin Yi's actions were a little thought-provoking. Xu Amin was already confused when Lin Yi put the building under Guan Xian's name, and he couldn't hold it in any more. You've given me 15% of the shares, and 55% to Xian. Xian also has the building under her name, so it'll only be a matter of a word for our family to take control of the medicine company. Have you thought of the consequences? Huh? Lin Yi smiled. He knew Xu Amin would ask this. If Xu Amin had accepted all of this without a word, Lin Yi wouldn't have said anything, but he would have looked down on Xu Amin in his heart. The medical company was something that Lin Yi had casually set up, and Lin Yi didn't put much effort into it. Lin Yi had to admit that Xu Amin had taken it all. It was like seeing through a person's character. To put it bluntly, the reason why Lin Yi set up this medical company was because he didn't want to live off a woman, and he wanted to earn some pocket money for himself. After Lu Tianyi sent over the 100 million, it didn't matter if Lin Yi started the company or not. Setting up the company was just to fight for Kong Xiaobo's pride, so that he wouldn't be looked down upon by Dr. Kang's family. So Lin Yi smiled. Grandpa Guan, this is all because of your reputation. I only provided 2 prescriptions, so I have nothing to say if you want to take it. Haha, you trust me too much. Although Xu Amin didn't have any ulterior motives, he was touched by Lin Yi's trust. I'll give my shares to Xian as well. But if Xian tries to steal your company in the future, don't come looking for me. I won't. Lin Yi shook his head. Was Guan Xian that kind of person? Based on Lin Yi's understanding of Guan Xian, she wasn't that kind of person. After chatting with Xu Amin for a while more, Lin Yi got up to leave. His bag was still at school, and Lin Yi had to go back eventually. I'll be going then, Grandpa Guan. Call me if you need anything. Lin Yi said. You're not waiting for Xian to come back? I wanted you to stay for dinner, Xu Min said, a little regretful. On one hand, he was regretful that they didn't finish the academic discussion, and on the other hand, he was regretful for Xian. Could Lin Yi and his granddaughter work out? As an elder, Xu Min really wanted Lin Yi to be his grandson-in-law. Lingshan's appearance, as well as Huaijuan's attitude, gave him a sense of danger. However, Lin Yi's attitude did comfort him a little. At least Lin Yi didn't seem to like Lingshan that much, and the fact that he was willing to give his shares to his granddaughter meant that Lin Yi trusted Xian. This way, Xian would have a head start, maybe next time. Lin Yi said as he looked at the time on his phone. I still have to go back to school. That's fine too. Next time then. Xu Amin didn't force him to stay. After all, things were different now. He and Lin Yi were business partners now, and Lin Yi would be visiting his house more often in the future. Lin Yi left Xu Amin's house and drove to school. The bell for the last self-study period rang, just as he stepped into the classroom. Meng Yao and Yushu were already used to Lin Yi's frequent absences, and they didn't bother to ask him about it. Meng Yao, on the other hand, was a little annoyed Lin Yi was her follower, and it was work time right now. Why was the guy disappearing all the time? Lin Yi, you're back. Lin Yi had just sat down when he heard a soft voice. His scalp went numb, and he almost fell to the ground. Xiao Xiao's eyes were curved into crescent moons as she looked at Lin Yi with a cute smile on her face. She took out a drink from her desk. Thirsty? I bought this for you. Are you all right? Lin Yi looked at Xiao Xiao in disbelief. Even if their relationship wasn't as serious as a death feud, it was at least as serious as killing her father. Lin Yi didn't understand. Why would Xiao Xiao treat him like this? Was she hiding a dagger behind her smile? I'm fine. Xiao Xiao blinked, confused. What could happen to me? Why do you ask? Xiao Xiao's question made Lin Yi speechless. He couldn't just say that he pissed on her and blew up her, but with firecrackers, that there was a huge grudge between them, and that she shouldn't be so gentle to him. Chapter 453. Chapter 453. The weird Xiao Xiao. It's nothing. It's good that you're fine. Lin Yi nodded, troubled. Why was this girl even worse than Yushu? Why did he run into these people all the time? He thought that the days of bullets and bullets were scary, but there were scary things in real life as well. For you, it's really good. I drank a bottle earlier and thought it was pretty good, so I bought it for you. Xiao Xiao put the drink in front of Lin Yi. Thanks, Lin Yi said helplessly. What else could he say? If Xiao Xiao had just scolded him the moment she came, Lin Yi would have thought it was normal. He'd just ignore her and be done with it, but she was talking nicely to him, and he couldn't just pretend he didn't hear her, could he? Lin even wondered if the one who blew up yesterday was Xiao Xiao's twin sister. The violent older sister was blown up, and today it was the gentle younger sister. Lin Yi was actually a little thirsty. He picked up the bottle and looked at the bottle. It was unopened. He opened it and took a sip, and there was nothing wrong with it. Lin Yi took a few sips, confused. You're welcome. Xiao Xiao shook her head. If you like it, I'll buy it for you every day. Pfft. Lin Yi was drinking when he spat it out at Xiao Xiao's words. On to Kong Xiaobo's back. Kong Xiaobo was listening to the conversation between Xiao Xiao and Lin Yi, secretly envious of Lin Yi. He turned around with a bitter face. Boss, I'm already envious of you. Why did you spit on me? I'm sorry. Lin Yi sweated as he looked at Xiao Xiao oddly. Xiao Xiao, tell me the truth. What do you mean? Nothing? Xiao Xiao looked at Lin Yi with wide eyes, as if she didn't understand what Lin Yi was talking about. Were you the one whose butt was blown up by the firecrackers yesterday? Lin Yi asked. Ah, don't say that. It's so embarrassing. Xiao Xiao's face reddened as she whispered. Lin Yi was about to faint. Have you become stupid from the explosion? You're the dumb one. I'm the real me now. Xiao Xiao pouted. Didn't I want you to teach me how to race? I also felt that there was something wrong with my method, so I changed it. It's impossible to teach you how to race. It's illegal, Lin Yi said. It's fine, you can teach me how to race and drift too, Xiao Xiao said seriously. I don't have time. Lin Yi frowned. It's fine, I won't learn then. Xiao Xiao smiled nonchalantly. Question mark. Lin Yi looked at Xiao Xiao in disbelief. What the hell? What the hell happened? When he left at noon, Xiao Xiao's cold face still had that angry look on it. What happened now? The night class was physics, and the teacher came in soon. Lin Yi didn't ask much, so he turned his head and started flipping through his physics book, ignoring Xiao Xiao. A smile formed on Xiao Xiao's lips, and she wanted to clench her fists and cheer. As expected, Lin Yi was amenable to coaxing, but not coercion. As long as she persisted, she wouldn't have to worry about not being able to capture Lin Yi's heart, and then she'd dump him. Humph. She'd let him know the consequences of messing with her. The whole class, Xiao Xiao was fantasizing about her future plans. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was very troubled, wondering why Xiao Xiao had become like this. From his past experience, Xiao Xiao had to be planning something big. The first time she gave him a drink, she didn't have any good intentions. She wanted him to go to the washroom so she could take pictures of him. This time, she probably wouldn't use the same cheap trick. so there shouldn't be anything wrong with the drink. It was just a way for Xiao Xiao to get on his good side. Pinliang was very happy right now. He'd contacted a high-class beach through one of his father's business partners, and he'd be able to reserve the entire VIP area. He'd be able to show off to Meng Yao later. He'd already talked to the homeroom teacher, Ms. Liu, and was ready to announce the good news after school. The night class finally ended, and Ms. Liu walked in with Pinliang walking up to the podium, very pleased with himself. Everyone calm down. Don't pack your bags yet. I have good news for you all. Ms. Liu was very supportive of Pinliang sponsoring the class spring outing. There wasn't much time left in the 12th grade, and the students didn't have much time to play together. The tree planting event was something that many of them enjoyed so much that they forgot to go home. Pinliang sponsoring a spring outing at this time made Ms. Liu's impression of Pinliang improve quite a bit. This guy wasn't a spoiled young master who didn't know shit. As soon as they heard the good news, the noisy class immediately quieted down. Everyone stopped what they were doing and raised their heads to look at Teacher Liu. This weekend, our class will be organizing a spring excursion. The destination is the natural beach in Boundless City. Ms. Liu's voice had barely faded when the students started cheering. Going to the beach was much more interesting than planting trees, and the students who'd been suppressed for a long time were all excited. This excursion is organized and sponsored by Pinliang. You don't have to pay a single cent. Just buy some snacks for yourselves. Ms. Liu said, "Let's give Pinliang a round of applause to thank him for his contributions to our class." Ms. Liu was planning to give Pinliang a scolding in a class meeting. This guy was too daring, setting fireworks on a tree. Wasn't he afraid of catching fire? But she couldn't say anything about it now. Yay! Many students were excited when they heard that it was free. After all, there weren't many students who came from rich families, and most of them had limited pocket money. All right, I'm done here. I'll introduce Pinliang to you all when he's done with the spring excursion plan. Ms. Liu said, "You can go home now." The students who'd been hostile to Pinliang were now looking at him with much friendlier gazes. Many of them even greeted him after school. Pinliang was delighted. If he'd known that this would happen, he would have organized the excursion a long time ago. Not only would he be able to establish his reputation, but he'd also be able to please Meng Yao and Yushu. Why wouldn't he do it? When Meng Yao and Yushu walked out of the classroom, Pinliang quickly ran after them. "Yao Yao, Shu, are you guys satisfied with my excursion?" Chapter 454. I want to eat shark. Meng Yao's face was expressionless, as if she hadn't heard Pinliang's words at all. She didn't deny Yushu's words, either. Yushu had always been like this, always using his name to talk to that idiot Pinliang, but Pinliang never changed, falling for it every single time. "That's great. I'll be happy as long as Yao Yao's happy." Pinliang said, "Right, I've booked a Golden Dragon bus. But Shu, why don't you and Yao Yao take my car? I'm driving my dad's Mercedes, and I just got my license last month." "You're driving a car just last month?" "Yao Yao, and I won't take it. What if we get killed?" Yushu humphed. "Plus, who doesn't have a car? Yao Yao's car is a sports car. It's as good as your Mercedes." Ugh. Pinliang had wanted to show off a little, but Yushu's words made him speechless. He regretted not boasting about his license at all. Getting a driver's license while still a student was something to be envied by normal people, but it wasn't something new to Miss Meng Yao and Yushu. "Do you have a private plane?" "I don't need a car, but a plane is." Yushu blinked as she turned to Pinliang. "Ah, a plane?" Pinliang's eyes went wide, a bitter smile on his face. "Do you know how much a private plane costs, Miss Meng Yao?" Even if his family was rich, they couldn't afford a private plane. A Boeing 757 cost tens of millions of dollars. What kind of joke was that? It's fine if you don't have one, but Yao Yao gets carsick and can only take a plane. We won't be going. You bring the other students. Yushu said regretfully. Wah. Pinliang almost tripped and fell to the ground. Not going just like that. Then why did he spend so much effort to invite his classmates to play? Wasn't he crazy? Pinliang had organized this event for Meng Yao's sake. And if Meng Yao didn't go, what was the point? But a plane. Pinliang suddenly had an idea. Shu, what do you think about renting a plane? Even if he couldn't afford to buy a plane, he could still charter one. It was said that a small private plane didn't cost much. If he changed it to a helicopter, it would be even cheaper. Oh, that's fine too. You can charter a seaplane. I want to land on the sea. Yushu's words almost made Pinliang faint again. A seaplane. Pinliang was getting a little dizzy. Can we book it? Sure, why don't you go and ask? Yushu, on the other hand, wasn't lying. I heard there's a private seaplane service at the beach in Boundless City. I see. I'll go ask then. Pinliang smiled bitterly and nodded. Why didn't he ask earlier? Now there was trouble. However, Pinliang had no choice but to accept the fact that he had to win Meng Yao's heart. Yao Yao, what do you want to eat? I need to prepare in advance. Oh, we want to eat barbecued shark meat. It'd be best if it's freshly caught in the sea. Yushu said. Shark? Pinliang blinked. His face turned even more bitter. Freshly caught shark? Who would dare catch a shark? That was like asking for his life. Pinliang was getting more and more convinced that this trip to get on Meng Yao's good side wasn't going to be that easy. All right, we're leaving now. We'll text you when you're ready. Yushu pulled Meng Yao and left quickly after that. Pinliang was left standing in the hallway with a bitter smile on his face. Xiaofu had been waiting for him. Liang bro, what's wrong? What else? It's not like you didn't hear what Yushu said. Renting a plane is fine as long as you can get it, but catching a shark? Isn't that a joke? Pinliang sighed. Liang bro, that's not a joke. Xiaofu waved his hand. I thought you thought renting a plane was too expensive. You know what's going on with my family. My uncle isn't a shareholder of the school anymore. But my dad's business isn't affected. He's also connected with a big boss recently, so he doesn't lack money. As long as there's a charter service, it'll be fine. Pinliang said. But catching a shark? Isn't that just suicide? Not suicide. Xiaofu smiled slyly. That's easy. When the time comes, Liang bro will prepare a dead shark and put it at the bottom of the sea. I'll put on a shark fin and pretend to be a shark, and you'll pretend to come down and fight me. I'll pretend to be dead and sink to the bottom of the sea, and you can drag the dead shark to shore. That's right. Pinliang's eyes lit up at Xiaofu's idea. He gave him a thumbs up. That's a brilliant idea. This was great. Didn't Meng Yao like strong, handsome men? I'll fight a shark and show off my manliness. Meng Yao won't fall for me then. Yeah, that's why it's not hard at all. Now we need to figure out how to charter a plane. Xiaofu wasn't good at other things, but he was good at dirty tricks. That's easy. I'll talk to my dad about it when I get back. Pinliang's worries were solved, and he felt much more relaxed. He hummed a little tune as he walked out of the school with Xiaofu. Meng Yao, on the other hand, looked at Yushu helplessly. Shu, can you stop messing with Pinliang? It's his fault for being an idiot. Yushu didn't care. Yao Yao, we're graduating soon. If we don't mess with this idiot a little, we won't be able to play with him in college. Play? You only know how to play all day long. You'll get into trouble sooner or later. Meng Yao glared. It's fine. With Shield Bro protecting us, I'm not scared of Pinliang anymore. Yushu said happily. What's up with Lin Yi? Why is he with Xiao Xiao again? Meng Yao turned her head to see Xiao Xiao beside Lin Yi, giggling as she talked to Lin Yi. Oh, are you jealous, Yao Yao? Do you want me to go scout and see what they're talking about? Yushu rubbed her palms together. No need. Meng Yao shook her head faintly. Who cares what he's doing? Let's go home. Sure, I want to go take a look. Yushu was curious. Then I'll go back myself. You think of a way home. With that, Meng Yao opened the car door and got in. Wait for me, I'm not going. Yushu quickly got in the car after seeing that Meng Yao was angry, but her eyes couldn't help looking back. Chapter 455. Chapter 455. The beginning of a nightmare. Why are you following me? Lin Yi frowned as he looked at Xiao Xiao. Don't they all say that you're marked by the company you keep? Xiao Xiao said with a smile. It's fine if you don't teach me how to drive. Just let me stay by your side. You'll be able to subtly influence me and I'll be more and more like you, and then I'll know how to drive. Lin Yi was speechless at Xiao Xiao's reasoning. Do whatever you want then, I'm going home. With that, Lin Yi turned to the food street behind the school, where he parked his car. Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, was still following Lin Yi leisurely. Lin Yi frowned, worried that Mrs. Tang and Tang Yin would misunderstand. Can you follow me tomorrow? Can I go home with you? Xiao Xiao had made up her mind to follow Lin Yi, and so no matter what Lin Yi said, she kept her voice soft. You don't want your car anymore? Lin Yi was a little speechless. Xiao Xiao's attitude made it impossible for him to get angry. If she were like before, Lin Yi could just send her flying with a kick. But now he couldn't just kick this cute girl. I'll go home with you first, and then take the bus back to get it, Xiao Xiao said. Xiao Xiao, can you be a little more normal? Lin Yi couldn't take it anymore. If you keep acting like this, I won't come tomorrow. Then I won't go home with you. Don't not come. I still want to be by your side every day. Xiao Xiao quickly shook her head. Then I won't go home with you, all right? I'll be going first. Lin Yi finally got rid of Xiao Xiao, and he slapped his forehead in relief. Just what was wrong with this Xiao Xiao? Lin Yi didn't believe it at all. There had to be something else that people didn't know about. What Lin Yi didn't expect was that his nightmare had just begun. Who was that girl just now? Although Lin Yi was in a rush to get rid of Xiao Xiao, Tang Yin, who was helping her mother with the barbecue stall, still saw it. In actuality, Tang Yin saw Lin Yi the moment he arrived at the food street. She was hesitant to call out to him when she saw that there was a girl beside him. She pretended not to see him, but she was very nervous. Tang Yin couldn't help but ask after Xiao Xiao left. My desk mate, a new transfer student, Lin Yi said. Then why is she following you? Tang Yin felt that she was being a little narrow-minded by asking so many questions, but it was fine. Lin Yi was getting more and more outstanding, and Tang Yin was getting more and more afraid that Lin Yi would fall in love with someone else. I'm not familiar with the road. I don't know where I parked the car. I can't find it, Lin Yi said casually. I see. She drives to school too? Then her family must be pretty rich, right? Tang Yin was startled. If Xiao Xiao really wanted to compete with her, even she wouldn't be able to win. Who knows? But she saw me driving once and thought that I was good, so she wanted to learn from me. I don't have time to talk to her, Lin Yi said. Oh, I see. Tang Yin started to get nervous again after hearing Lin Yi's words. So Xiao Xiao was here for Lin Yi? This gave Tang Yin a faint sense of danger. Let's not talk about her. How's Auntie's business? Lin Yi didn't want to talk about Xiao Xiao in front of Tang Yin. It's not bad. My income is 3 to 4 times what I used to be. That's around 10,000 a month. Tang Yin was very happy. This was the first time the family was making so much money. And then let's save some money and rent a storefront. We can open a barbecue shop. That way, we won't have to work so hard anymore. Lin Yi nodded. He could take out more money for Tang Yin's family to open a barbecue shop, but with Tang Yin's personality, she wouldn't accept it. That's what I was thinking, too. I don't want Mom to be exposed to the sun and the wind, but Mom said it's too risky. She doesn't want to lose the money. Tang Yun blushed, she said. She said that she wants to save the money for my dowry. Dowry? Lin Yi blinked and smiled weirdly. Then I'll talk to Ani about it. I don't need that little dowry, so she doesn't need to save it. You? Tang Yun blinked as well, but reacted quickly. Her face reddened even more as she punched at Lin Yi. What are you talking about? I didn't say I wanted to marry you. Haha. Lin Yi held Tang Yun's hand. Auntie already agreed. After helping Tang Yun and Mrs. Tang for a while, the number of students gradually decreased. Lin Yi helped Mrs. Tang send the barbecue cart to the nearby warehouse, and then drove Mrs. Tang and Tang Yun to the slums. I heard that the slums are going to be relocated. Do you think we should ask for compensation or move back? Mrs. Tang couldn't make up her mind these days. Compensation was said to be a few $100,000, but they could also move back to a building similar to their current size. It was a good deal. It's okay if you want to move back. I don't know much about this. I'll ask someone for you another day. Lin Yi thought of Fatty Lai. Wasn't this guy in real estate? He would understand if he asked. However, with Fatty Lai's style, if he knew that Tang Yun was his girlfriend, he would probably give them a villa the next day. However, from Lin Yi's point of view, Tang Yun wouldn't accept it. That's fine, but it's just a rumor. It's hard to say if they'll even move. Mrs. Tang sighed. The last few times we wanted to move, it was because we didn't reach an agreement on the compensation. It's fine. If you need anything, just let me know. I have a friend in real estate. I'm sure he'll be able to help. Lin Yi said, after sending Tang Yun and Mrs. Tang to the slums. Lin Yi didn't get out of the car and drove straight back to Meng Yao's villa. Meng Yao didn't say anything about Lin Yi leaving early and returning late. She looked at him coldly and continued watching TV with Yushu. The next afternoon, Lin Yi, who had been tormented by Xiao Xiao the whole morning, was finally free. He planned to eat with Tang Yun in the cafeteria, but Xiao Xiao followed him out of the classroom. Why are you following me? I'm going to eat with Tang Yun. Lin Yi didn't expect this little tail to follow him. I'm going to eat too. Xiao Xiao blinked. It's a good opportunity to get to know your girlfriend. We'll be seeing each other often in the future. What do you mean? You want to be by my side every time I go on a date? Lin Yi's face turned green. Chapter 456. She couldn't take it anymore. Tang Yun's expression froze when she saw Lin Yi with Xiao Xiao. Lin Yi had explained it yesterday, but she was still worried. Why would she be worried about a guy? Tang Yun rubbed her temples. It was unbelievable, but it was the truth. If it were half a year ago, she would have scoffed at girls like this, worrying about a boyfriend cheating on her. Didn't that mean she wasn't attractive enough? Tang Yun felt that she wouldn't be like those girls, worrying all the time. But now the answer came so quickly. Tang Yun regretted making fun of people before. She shouldn't have. Mocking people for being inferior was the true. The ancients wouldn't lie to themselves. Lin Yi, you've been waiting for a long time. Tang Yun tried her best to look normal as she turned to Xiao Xiao. This is your new desk mate, right? Hello, I'm Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao put her hand out. I'm Lin Yi's admirer. Ah. Tang Yun paused, shaking Xiao Xiao's hand weirdly. Admirer? Yeah, he's really cool when driving. I want to learn from him, but he hasn't taught me yet. Xiao Xiao nodded generously. Is that so? Tang Yun frowned. What did she mean by admirer? Let's go, ignore her. Lin Yi didn't know what to say to Xiao Xiao. This girl was definitely up to no good, and Lin Yi didn't have the heart to kick her. But he didn't want to talk to her either. Oh, Tang Yun felt much better after hearing Lin Yi's words, and her attitude toward Xiao Xiao wasn't as hostile anymore. We're going to eat. See you next time. No need, I'm going to the cafeteria too. Let's go together, Xiao Xiao said passionately, not caring that she'd become a third wheel. Tang Yun wanted to say something, but didn't. She stood to the right of Lin Yi, and Xiao Xiao stood to the left of Lin Yi. The two of them sandwiched Lin Yi, one on the left and one on the right. Tang Yin, have you ever seen your husband drive? He's really handsome. Xiao Xiao turned to Tang Yin. Hubby? Tang Yin paused but got a little angry. She wasn't angry because Xiao Xiao said Lin Yi was her husband, but because Xiao Xiao was being so vague. She didn't add you in front of the word husband and directly said this word. Those who didn't know would think that Lin Yi was her husband, or that they had the same husband. But Tang Yin didn't want to correct her. What if it was a slip of the tongue? If he were to say it out loud, wouldn't it be very embarrassing? So he said, yes, but if you want to learn how to drive, it's best if you go to a driving school. I have a driver's license. I just want to learn drifting, Xiao Xiao said. When they got to the cafeteria, Lin Yi found a table for two in order to get rid of Xiao Xiao. This way, Xiao Xiao wouldn't be able to sit with him, and Xiao Xiao indeed hadn't sat here before. She went to the food counter and lined up. Lin Yi, what's going on with that Xiao Xiao? She looks like she's really clingy, Tang Yun asked casually. What jealous? Lin Yi could guess what she was thinking just by looking at her face. Jealous? Jealous? I'm not. Tang Yun naturally wouldn't admit it. I just think she's an idiot. Huh. Lin Yi smiled. What do you want to eat? I'll go buy it. Whatever, one meat and one vegetable. Just do as you see fit. Tang Yin wasn't a picky eater. She had a simple lunch with Lin Yi. 2 dishes for the two of them. It wasn't a waste. Lin Yi wasn't a picky eater either, so he usually went to whichever counter had the least customers. The dishes he bought were random as well. There weren't many people at the stir-fried garlic and steamed pork ribs, so Lin Yi bought one and brought it back. The two were just about to eat when they saw Xiao Xiao dragging a chair over with a big plate in her hand. She came to Lin Yi's table and placed it on it, adding a chair to the side of the table. The cafeteria was very crowded during peak hours, and so there were some folding chairs at the side of the cafeteria for extra seats when there were too many people. He didn't expect Xiao Xiao to drag a chair over herself. Lin Yi, I bought you braised chicken drumsticks. They're really good. Here you go, Xiao Xiao said as she put the chicken drumsticks in front of him. What? Lin Yi didn't think that Xiao Xiao would buy him a drumstick. Wasn't she trying to make him feel uncomfortable? Tang Yin was already feeling a little jealous. What was this girl playing at? Eat it, it's really good, Xiao Xiao said with a smile as she looked at Lin Yi. I heard from Pin Liang that the drumsticks and lamb chops in the cafeteria are really good, but the lamb chops have to be made on the spot. I ordered one, but it'll take a while. You can eat the drumsticks first. Lin Yi couldn't take it anymore. Lin Yi didn't do anything to Xiao Xiao because she was a girl, but now that she kept doing weird things, Lin Yi couldn't take it anymore. Xiao Xiao, are you done or not? Lin Yi glared at Xiao Xiao. You're so mean to me. Xiao Xiao jumped at Lin Yi. Her eyes reddened as tears fell down. Woo, why are you so mean to me? I just worship you, and I want to get on your good side. I want you to teach me how to drive. What's wrong with that? Woo! Lin Yi looked at the pitiful Xiao Xiao in shock. He couldn't believe his eyes. Was this the same Xiao Xiao who was grinding her teeth, trying to take pictures of him and blow him up with firecrackers? She didn't even cry when he blew her up, and now she was crying just because he yelled at her? Tang Yin had been annoyed at Xiao Xiao for being so stupid. She finally had some alone time with Lin Yi, and Xiao Xiao came over to be the third wheel. But now that she saw Xiao Xiao looking so wronged, Tang Yun's heart softened. Did she really only worship Lin Yi? Or did she have other thoughts? But worship was hard to explain, and it could easily turn into affection. That was why Tang Yin was so hostile toward Xiao Xiao. But now she felt pity for her. Linny, can you talk to her and make her stop crying? Why don't you teach her? Don't get tricked by her. This girl likes to act. Lin Yi curled his lips and steeled his heart, ignoring Xiao Xiao. Chapter 457. Wasting her strength, Xiao Xiao wiped her tears away and stopped crying, but she didn't leave. She propped her chin on her hand and stared at Linny, her eyes filled with infatuation and tenderness. Xiao Xiao's gaze made Lin a little uneasy, and Tang Yin felt even more uncomfortable. What was going on? Lin Yi was her boyfriend, and now there was an admirer sitting next to him, staring at Lin Yi. How could she stop eating? Xiao Xiao, you're not eating? Tang Yin couldn't help but ask. She couldn't kick her out, but she couldn't just let her stare at Lin Yi like this, could she? Nope. I'm happier watching Lin eat than eating myself. Xiao Xiao murmured. You. Tang Yin didn't know what to say at all. It wasn't easy for them to get through this awkward moment in the cafeteria, and Lin Yi pulled Tang Yin out. Can you not let her come next time? Tang Yin couldn't help but say to Lin Yi, I feel weird with her beside me. I can't even eat. You think I want her to come? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Tang Yin pouted unhappily, but there was nothing she could do about it. She wanted to say something, but she didn't want Lin Yi to think that she was being petty. Tang Yin was starting to get annoyed with herself. Why was she getting more and more worried? Where was her courage? She could mock Lin Yi and even step on his feet, but now she had to think before she did anything. Was she really afraid that Xiao Xiao would steal Lin Yi from her? What was she thinking? Tang Yin was a little embarrassed as she scolded herself. She didn't want to think about all this nonsense anymore. There were only a few more months until the college entrance exams, but because of her family and Lin Yi, she had just finished revising her second year's curriculum. She still had the third year's curriculum to study. Otherwise, she wouldn't make it in time. She hurried back to the classroom and started reading the 12th grade textbooks, throwing all the random thoughts to the back of her mind. Xiao Xiao bought a drink for Lin Yi when she got back to class. Lin Yi, this is a new fruit tea. It looks really good, so I bought 2 bottles. Do you want to try it? Xiao Xiao, what are you thinking? Lin Yi took the drink from Xiao Xiao's hand, but didn't drink it, putting it aside. Nothing much. I just want to be by your side, Xiao Xiao said seriously. I won't tease you anymore, don't worry. Okay. Lin Yi nodded. Lin Yi heard Xiao Xiao's nonsensical words and knew that it was pointless to talk anymore. He decided to just ignore her. Lin Yi thought that Xiao Xiao was just a newbie for 2.5 days. If he ignored her and stopped her from carrying out her plan, she'd get bored and leave. He didn't think that Xiao Xiao would maintain this attitude for a few days, following wherever Lin Yi went. She waited at the door when Lin Yi went to the washroom, and when Lin Yi went to find Tang Yin, she followed him. Tang Yin almost gritted her teeth as she started to suspect Xiao Xiao's motives. Pin Liang really did manage to get a private seaplane from the beach club. It was expensive, costing tens of thousands of yuan per flight, but it wasn't much to Pin Liang. It was much cheaper than buying a plane, wasn't it? He didn't mind spending a bit more money to please Meng Yao, either. The plane wasn't big, but it was more than enough to fit all 40 people in the class. Pin Liang didn't bother looking for a bus. It was the same for one person, and it was the same for 40 people. The charter fee was fixed. When Pin Liang announced that he was going to use the private plane to take everyone to the beach, the class went wild again. But be careful when you bring your personal belongings. Don't bring anything flammable or explosive. Ms. Liu started reading out the security rules. The security on a private plane wasn't as strict as normal security, but some dangerous items weren't allowed. In order to avoid trouble, Ms. Liu had to warn everyone beforehand. Most of the students didn't bring anything dangerous, so after hearing what Ms. Liu said, they didn't think it had anything to do with them. But Pin Liang had to change his plans. He was going to bring a barbecue grill and some charcoal to the beach for an outdoor barbecue. But since they weren't allowed to bring a fire source on the plane, Pinliang couldn't bring those things. Xiaofu, looks like the barbecue plan has to be put on hold. Meng Yao wants to barbecue shark meat. How are we going to get it for them? Pinliang asked. Liang bro, I heard there's a new type of barbecue grill. Maybe we should get one? Xiaofu suggested. It doesn't seem that expensive, only a few hundred. Really? That's not bad. Go get one, I'll leave this to you. Pinliang calmed down at Xiaofu's words. Saturday morning, Pinliang and Xiaofu arrived at school with bags of stuff. They'd planned to meet at the school gates, and the whole class would get on the bus to the airport. Pinliang wanted to drive, but Meng Yao and Yushu were taking the bus, and he didn't want to be special. He told his father's driver to go back first, and waited for the bus with his classmates. Xiao Xiao was wearing sunglasses, a hat, and a small backpack. She looked like a traveling girl, pretty and cute. She attracted a lot of attention. Most of the boys' attention had been on Meng Yao and Yushu before, but now that Xiao Xiao had joined them, a part of the attention was taken away. Xiao Xiao was standing beside Lin Yi, making everyone jealous and envious, but Lin Yi didn't seem to care at all. All the boys had the urge to step up and take his place. Lin Yi, I brought a lot of good food. Xiao Xiao turned her head, her face flushed with excitement and happiness. Oh, Lin Yi replied flatly. I don't know how to swim. Can you teach me? Xiao Xiao didn't lie to Lin Yi this time. She really didn't know how to swim. Oh, is that so? Lin Yi said faintly. I don't know how to swim either. Chapter 458. The consequences will be dire. The bus is here. Lin Yi reminded Xiao Xiao, ignoring her as he walked towards the bus. Xiao Xiao had no choice but to follow them, huffing and puffing. After getting in the car, she sat next to Lin Yi without even thinking about what was going on. It was supposed to be Xiaobo's seat, but Xiaobo didn't say anything when he saw that Xiao Xiao had taken it. He could only sit somewhere else. Liang bro, how do you think Xiao Xiao's going to deal with Lin Yi? She looks like she's in love with Lin Yi. Xiaofu had been paying attention to Lin Yi's movements for the past couple of days, so naturally he knew about Xiao Xiao's situation. Who knows? Pinliang was a little troubled. Maybe she's going to go all out? Let's just ignore her. It's great that she's willing to deal with Lin Yi, so Lin Yi won't come looking for trouble with us. My priority right now is to deal with Meng Yao before the college entrance exams. That's true, who cares about them? Xiaofu nodded as well. Liang bro, the shark plan is ready. We can execute it any time. Yeah, well done. Pinliang patted Xiaofu's shoulder. I'm sure Meng Yao's impression of me will change drastically after this. Inside the floating cloud bar, Cihua had a meeting with two very influential people in Songshan, Zhou Tiandi and Zhong Fabai. Cihua walked the underworld and was known as the boss of Songshan's underworld, but his underlings were all elites. There weren't any thugs from the streets. Cihua's business was big, and he didn't need those low-level gangsters to collect protection fees or whatnot. He'd always been involved in the high-end business of the underworld, like smuggling, drug trafficking, and this time he was working with Jiang Wen to sell human organs. These were all big deals, much more profitable than collecting protection fees and the like. Other than Cihua, there were two other powerful people in Songshan. One was Zhou Tiandi, and the other was Zhong Fabai. One of them was in the entertainment business, while the other was in the hotel business. Both of them had a lot of henchmen working for them, especially Zhou Tiandi's eldest son, Zhou. He was the head of the North District. Cihua didn't care about what they were playing with, and Fabai and Zhou Tiandi didn't have the ability to play with things as advanced as Cihua, so they didn't interfere with each other's business. But this time, Cihua had no choice but to cooperate with these two. The first person Cihua talked to was Zhou Tiandi, because, as far as he was concerned, Tiandi was much stronger than Fabai. Tiandi's son was the boss of the North District. Brother Tiandi, I'm really sorry to have made you rush over so early in the morning. Sihua had a favor to ask of Tiandi now, so his attitude was much warmer than before. Tiandi's arrival was reported to him by his underlings, and he quickly stood up to welcome him. This young master is... Haha, Sihua bro, this is my son, Zoroaming. I brought him here to see the world. Tiandi was a little disappointed in his eldest son, Zoroaguang. That guy was a pushover, not even as good as his younger son, Zoroaming. As a result, Zoroaming's successor was most likely going to be his younger son. Tiandi changed his strategy and decided not to let Zoroaming study blindly. Instead, he was preparing to train him as his successor. Oh, so it's young Master Zhou. Haha, you're quite the talent. Sihua nodded with a smile. Thank you for the compliment, Uncle Sihua. Zoroaming was, without a doubt, very excited. His father was finally willing to train him, and this was his first time out, and he was bringing him to meet such an important person. As for Sihua, Zoroaming had heard of him a long time ago. He was the big boss of Songshan's underworld. Sihua bro, I wonder if you have any business with me? Tiandi and Sihua had always minded their own business, so their relationship wasn't too bad. Tiandi bro, let's not beat around the bush. I'm here today because I have a business with you. Sihua didn't beat around the bush. They were both in the underworld after all, and there was no need to beat around the bush. Oh, what kind of business? Tiandi had been depressed for the past couple of days. Lin Yi had said that he wouldn't bother them anymore, but he was still worried. Now that there was business, he felt a little better. I'm sure you know who I am, Sihua said with a smile. One of the juniors of the big boss behind me wants to start a real estate company here, but he's lacking some manpower. Would you be interested, Tiandi bro? Manpower? You mean? Tiandi paused. Wouldn't his family's business skyrocket if he could form a relationship with the big boss behind Sihua? But the point was, what did the guy see in him? Tiandi knew his own limitations. He was an expert in the entertainment business, but he'd never been in the real estate business before. Demolition. Sihua smiled. You know that we'll need some tricks if we want to get a demolition done at a low price. I don't have the manpower to do that, so I wanted to work with you. Tiandi bro, demolition? That's not a problem. Tiandi let out a breath of relief. Demolition wasn't easy at all. Wouldn't it be enough to let Zhou Ruoguang lead a group of people to threaten those relocated households? So you're saying that you'll agree to this, Tiandi bro? Sihua was quite confident in this. After all, it wasn't a difficult job for Tiandi, and it should be something he was good at. It shouldn't be a problem. Tiandi nodded. Which piece of land does the young master want to develop? The slums, Sihua said. It's a big area. It'll be very promising. Oh, the slums? That's a good place, no problem. Tiandi was about to agree when Zhou Ruoming pulled him back. Dad, we can't do this. Zhou Ruoming was afraid that his father would agree on impulse. Ruoming, what are you doing? Tiandi paused, a little displeased. What's wrong with you, kid? Aren't you usually quite brave? Why are you afraid to do illegal things now? Dad, listen to me. I don't dare do things that aren't illegal. It's Tangyan. She lives in the slums. Zhou Ruoming explained, panicking. He'd been pursuing Tangyan, and naturally he'd done a lot of research on her family background. It was normal that he knew she lived in the slums. Chapter 459. Chapter 459. Occupied, what if he was stupid enough to bulldoze Tangyan's house? He'd probably end up in the morgue the next day, wouldn't he? Even someone as strong as Yan Chiyuan was taken care of by Lin Yi. What else could he do against Lin Yi? Tiandi wasn't afraid of offending Sihua at this point. The worst that could happen was that their relationship would worsen. It wasn't a big deal. Tiandi stood up abruptly. Sihua bro, I can't do this. You should find someone else. I'm sorry. With that, Tiandi pulled Zhou Ruoming away without another word. What he was afraid of was what would happen if Lin Yi found out that he was planning to demolish Tang Yin's house with Sihua. What if Lin Yi came looking for trouble? Tiandi cursed his unluck. He shouldn't have come if he'd known about this. Sihua frowned as he watched Tiandi and Tiandi's disappearing silhouettes. What the hell was that? Is there something wrong with him? I'm asking you guys out of respect. It's fine if you don't want the money. Sihua bro, I heard them mention a name. Maybe it's someone they know? Jianong said. Let's not bother with them. Call Zhong Fabai over. Time waits for no man. Master Bing will be here soon. We need to get the real estate company up and running before he gets here. Sihua said. Right, how's Jin Gubong? He's registered a real estate company himself, and he's planning to give all the shares to Master Bing. Jianong said. He's pretty smart. Let's leave him 10% of the shares and let him stay as the CEO of the company. Sihua said after some thought. Master Bing's just playing around. He needs someone to help him manage the company. He's Zhong Fabai's relative. It'll be easy to use him. All right, I'll talk to Jin Gubong later. Jianong nodded and went to call Zhong Fabai. Fabai, on the other hand, didn't have as many concerns as Tiandi. He was looking for a new backer now that Gubong was gone, and Fabai agreed without a second thought when he heard that Sihua wanted to recruit him and Gubong to run this real estate company, and that it was for the nephew of the boss behind the scenes. Due to the specifications of the private seaplane, it didn't have a luggage compartment, so it couldn't be checked in. Some dangerous goods weren't allowed to be brought onto the plane. After going through the security check, the class boarded the plane under the guidance of Teacher Liu. It was the first time for many students to take a plane, and their eyes were full of novelty and excitement. Even if they had taken a plane before, they had never taken an amphibious plane, so no matter who it was, they were very excited. In this kind of small plane, the front was better, but the seats near the back would be very bumpy. Fortunately, after the class sat on the plane, only the first few rows were filled, and there were only some luggage in the back. Pin Liang and Xiaofu were getting ready to sit in the luxurious seats at the front. The first row was very spacious, and there were 4 seats in total. 2 were for Meng Yao and Yushu, and the other 2 were for Pin Liang himself. Pin Liang and Xiaofu were just about to sit down after putting down their luggage when someone behind them pushed them, almost causing them to fall. Move aside, don't block the way. It was Lin Yi who was already sitting in the seat that used to be Pin Liang's. Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, followed Lin Yi and sat in Xiaofu's seat. Pin Liang's face turned green. He wanted to shoo Lin Yi away, but he didn't dare. He wanted to shoo Xiao Xiao away, but he didn't dare either. Just when he was at a loss as to what to do, Yushu spoke up. Liang Yi, Yao Yao said that she likes brave guys. Only those who can sit at the back of the plane without a change in expression or heart palpitations are the bravest. Yushu, naturally, didn't want Pin Liang to sit in the front. She wanted to see what would happen between Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao, so she found an excuse to shoo Pin Liang away. Is that so? Pin Liang found a way out of Yushu's words. Xiaofu, let's sit at the back then. The first row is for cowardly men. There was only one man in the first row, Lin Yi, so Pin Liang's words were directed at Lin Yi. But he regretted it immediately. Wasn't he just being a prick? Why did he have to say that? Pin Liang let out a sigh of relief when he saw that Lin Yi didn't seem to be looking for trouble. He quickly walked to the back of the cabin with Xiaofu and sat down at the very back. Since it was a low-altitude, private plane, there wouldn't be too much of a conflict with commercial airliners. It didn't take long for the plane to take off. Pin Liang and Xiaofu had never been on a private plane like this before. They thought that the back of the plane would be the same as a commercial airliner. But Pin Liang only realized how uncomfortable it was when they took off. The seat was as bumpy as it could get, and Pin Liang's face turned scarily pale. Xiaofu wasn't much better off either. Liang bro, maybe we should sit closer to the front? This is too uncomfortable. Xiaofu couldn't take it anymore. You can go if you want to. What would Meng Yao think of me if I went? She'd think I'm a coward, wouldn't she? Pin Liang was uncomfortable as well, but he gritted his teeth and persevered. He'd already said that he'd be a laughingstock if he backed out now. Pin Liang was a laughingstock now, but he didn't want more of them. If he could still grit his teeth and persevere, then so be it. He only wanted to get to the beach as soon as possible. Pin Liang wasn't leaving, and Xiaofu couldn't either. He could only endure it. It was his first time on a plane, and he didn't have much experience. Naturally, he was worse than Pin Liang. Lin Yi didn't bother with Xiao Xiao either. No matter what she said, Lin Yi only replied with, "Oh, and is that so?" These meaningless words made Xiao Xiao very depressed. "Shu, what do you think Xiao Xiao's up to?" Meng Yao had noticed that something was wrong with Xiao Xiao these past few days. "I don't know, but I think she's in love with Shield Bro." "Why else would she be so nice to Shield Bro?" Yushu mumbled as she chewed on her snacks. "She's into Lin Yi? How's that possible? Isn't she trying to cause trouble for Lin Yi?" Meng Yao frowned as she humphed coldly. Lin Yi wasn't some kind of hot steamed bun. Why would anyone be into him? "Are you jealous, Yao Yao?" Yushu giggled. "Me? What does it have to do with me?" Meng Yao humphed, not caring about what Lin Yi said. Chapter 460. She threw up, ate again. Meng Yao hesitated, a slight frown on her face. "Why don't you go listen then?" "Oh, okay," Yushu said with a smile. But Yushu pricked up her ears for a long time, unable to hear what Xiao Xiao and Lin Yi were talking about. Why weren't they talking either? Lin Yi closed his eyes and pretended to doze off. Xiao Xiao said a few words to Lin Yi, and since he wasn't paying attention, she could only listen to her MP3 player. Shield Bro. Yushu wasn't worried that Xiao Xiao would hear what she called Lin Yi, since she knew about her relationship with Lin Yi. She wouldn't have waited until now if she'd wanted to. Lin Yi opened his eyes and looked at Yushu, confused. "It's nothing." Yushu thought that Lin Yi was asleep, so she wanted to wake him up and listen to his conversation with Xiao Xiao. Now that Lin Yi was awake, she was fine. Lin Yi looked at Yushu, confused, and shook his head. "Lin Yi, are you hungry? I have some biscuits here." Xiao Xiao asked, seeing that Lin Yi wasn't pretending to be asleep anymore. "Oh, eat it yourself," Lin Yi replied faintly as he looked out the window. Xiao Xiao pouted. What was that supposed to mean? He'd answer whenever Yushu called him, and ignore her when she talked to him. "Hey, how much do they pay you?" "What do you mean, how much?" Lin Yi blinked. "Aren't you their follower and bodyguard? How much do they pay you every month?" Xiao Xiao asked. "Tens of thousands, I guess," Lin Yi said vaguely. "Tens of thousands?" Xiao Xiao was startled. Why was it so much money? Her family was rich, but her allowance was only 10,000 a month. She'd wanted to say that she'd hire Lin Yi twice the amount of money Meng Yao was paying him, but she couldn't bring herself to say it now. "Bullshit," she said hatefully. "Huh." Lin Yi could guess what Xiao Xiao was thinking. "I work for her father. Follower is just a guest." "Oh," Xiao Xiao nodded. It wasn't impossible for Pingzhan to spend that much money if it was him. "Xiao Xiao, if you want to learn how to drive, I don't have much time right now, so you don't have to follow me all the time." "There's no point in following me," Lin Yi said, wanting to make things clear. "No, it's fine if you don't want to teach me. I just want you to influence me," Xiao Xiao said. "That way I'll be more and more like you." Lin Yi was taken aback. What kind of bullshit theory was that? Imperceptible influence? He was speechless. Do what you want then. Knowing that Xiao Xiao wouldn't get through to him, Lin Yi didn't bother with the bullshit. Follow her if she wanted to. She'd probably get annoyed after a few days anyway. All right. Xiao Xiao was very happy that Lin Yi agreed. Her eyes turned into crescents. Here's a biscuit. Lin Yi took the biscuit and put it on the table in front of him. I heard it. Yushu lowered her voice to Meng Yao. Then what did they say? Meng Yao asked. Xiao Xiao told Shield Bro to teach her how to drive, so she follows him every day. Yushu said, I see. Let her do what she wants then. Meng Yao naturally lost interest after hearing that Xiao Xiao was just going to Lin Yi to learn how to drive. Xiaofu's face was getting paler and paler. He couldn't take it anymore. Liang Bro, I can't take it anymore. I want to throw up. Hold it. In a little longer. We're almost there. Pin Liang wanted to throw up as well, but he was in a better state than Xiaofu. He often traveled on planes, and he'd even been on those smaller planes before. They were better than this, but not by much. I can't take it anymore. I really can't take it anymore. Xiaofu yelled suddenly. Waiter, open the window. I'm going to throw up. Xiaofu's yelling attracted the attention of the students in front of him, and Pin Liang felt his face heat up. How embarrassing. He wanted to kick Xiaofu off the plane. This is a plane, not a car. The window's sealed. I can't open it. Then what do we do? I'm going to throw up. Xiaofu panicked. Hold it in. Just hold it in for a little while. Pin Liang raged. Blurg, blurg. Xiaofu quickly covered his mouth with his hand, holding it in for a while before letting out a sigh of relief. Fu, you can hold it in? Pin Liang breathed in relief after seeing that Xiaofu wasn't throwing up anymore. I did, but I swallowed it back down. Xiaofu said, Ah, blurg. Pin Liang's stomach churned. He swallowed it back down again. Why was it so disgusting? Pin Liang had been able to hold it in at first, but he couldn't hold it in any more after what Xiaofu was doing. He opened his mouth and wanted to puke, but when he looked up, he saw that everyone in the class was looking at Xiaofu as well as Yushu. He was in a difficult position, but the thing in his stomach was already in his throat. He had no choice but to spit it out, just like Xiaofu did. Pin Liang made up his mind and spat it out, then swallowed it back. Burp. Pin Liang burped and waved at Yushu with a smile on his face. Look at me, I'm fine. That Xiaofu guy just can't do it. Pin Liang sighed in relief after seeing that no one could tell. Pin Liang finally let out a sigh of relief. He was the smartest one of them all. Even though he swallowed back what he was about to spit out, no one could tell. Liang Bro, my stomach's not feeling well. I want to have a bowel movement. Xiaofu said after a while, Why are you so troublesome? Why do you feel like throwing up and having a bowel movement? Pin Liang was starting to panic. You can't blame me, Liang Bro. I didn't manage to spit it out, so I swallowed it back down. Of course, I have to poop. Xiaofu said weakly. There's a washroom up front. Go yourself. Pin Liang said helplessly. Xiaofu sprinted into the washroom. Pin Liang was starting to regret letting Xiaofu sit at the back of the plane as well. It was ruining his image. But why was his stomach so uncomfortable? Pin Liang froze abruptly. He'd swallowed the thing back down. Was he going to have a bowel movement as well? Pin Liang jumped at the thought and ran to the washroom. He only remembered that Xiaofu was still inside when he reached the door. He knocked on the door. Xiaofu, hurry up. Liang Bro, what's wrong? Xiaofu said weakly. I need to use the washroom too. Hurry up. Pin Liang said urgently. I'm pooping right now. Xiaofu said. Chapter 461. Here comes the shark. Xiaofu was panicking, but he couldn't just pull up his pants in the middle of his diarrhea, could he? Liang Bro, wait a minute, I'll be done soon. Pin Liang was panicking. The toilet was right in front of the first row. Wasn't Xiaofu trying to ruin his image on purpose? It was one thing for him to go straight into the toilet, but Meng Yao would definitely laugh at him if he had to hold his stomach and walk around like that, wouldn't she? Uffed. Pin Liang let out a loud fart, feeling a little embarrassed. His face reddened as he snuck a glance at Meng Yao. It stinks, Yao Yao. I'm going to faint. Yushu jumped up, waving her hands around. Liang, hurry up and stuff a fart stopper. Are you trying to suffocate me and Yao Yao? Pin Liang's fart was only heard by the students in the first few rows, but Yushu's words made him the center of attention in the cabin. Pin Liang was panicking. He was just about to explain when his butt popped out uncontrollably again. This time, he'd pooped out of his pants due to his excitement. Pin Liang, are you doing this on purpose? Yushu was going crazy as she pinched her nose and ran to the back. It was too smelly. Meng Yao frowned in disgust as well. She didn't know what Pin Liang was doing, not stopping even after getting on the plane. She stood up and followed Yushu. Xiao Xiao was in the middle of eating a biscuit when she spat it out. She subconsciously ran to the back as well. Lin Yi didn't mind. Lin Yi had lived in smellier places than this before, but Pin Liang's actions were indeed disgusting. Since the mist was gone, Lin Yi stood up and followed. Xiaofu finally came out of the toilet, and Pin Liang ran in with his hands on his crotch. The sound of running water came from the toilet. Pin Liang didn't bring a change of pants, so he had to wash them in the toilet. But before the plane landed, Pin Liang didn't have the nerve to come out of the toilet. Pin Liang was the one who organized the event, so even though everyone thought it was funny to see him in a wet pair of pants, they didn't laugh at him. Pin Liang was comforted by that. I'm sorry, Liang bro, I didn't do it on purpose. Xiaofu apologized, a little embarrassed that he'd messed things up. Forget it. Pin Liang looked at his only subordinate and didn't know what to say. He waved his hand and said generously, Just do your best to pretend to be a shark later. Don't worry, I've practiced several times in the bathtub at home. There won't be a problem. Gao Xiaofu patted his chest confidently. Pin Liang nodded. Whether or not he could save his face would depend on this. If the glorious image of him fighting the shark was seen by everyone, the incident of him pooping his pants would be nothing. The plane landed on the dedicated water parking lane in the VIP area of the beach. After the plane stopped, a speedboat came over and sent the students on the plane to the beach. Pin Liang had booked the entire VIP area, so there weren't any other visitors here. The water was very clear, and between the beach and the water was a shallow area of pebbles and sand. There were some sea, snails, crabs, and fishes in the water. It seemed like the water here was quite nice. Lin Yi wasn't in a hurry to change into his swimsuit like the other students. He sat on the beach, quietly watching the little creatures in the water. It was rare to see water this clear in the city and tourist areas. Lin Yi felt like he was back home. When he was young, Lin Yi and Air Gooden would often play at the beach. Of course, Old Man forced Lin Yi to train in the water most of the time, and Air Gooden. Lin Yi really doubted his body structure. It was hard for him to keep his balance in the waves, but that guy was like an iron tower. Why don't you go change into your swimsuit? Xiao Xiao saw that Lin Yi was sitting on the beach, spacing out. She followed him, curious. Why would I change into a swimsuit if I don't know how to swim? Lin Yi said faintly, Why don't you go? I want to be by your side. Xiao Xiao said matter-of-factly. Lin Yi shook his head. His thoughts were interrupted, and he turned his attention to the girl who had changed into her swimsuit. An 18-year-old girl with a petite body had already matured. This was a good opportunity for his eyes to feast on. He wondered what the Miss and Yushu would look like in their swimsuits. Compared to Meng Yao, Lin Yi was more excited to see Yushu in her swimsuit. He'd seen pictures of them in swimsuits, but it wasn't as good as seeing them in person. But what disappointed Lin Yi was that Meng Yao and Yushu didn't change into their swimsuits. Instead, they set up a sun umbrella on the beach and sat under it, taking out the snacks from their bags. Were these two girls here for a picnic? It made sense. Meng Yao and Yushu went to the beach quite a lot, and his computer's hard drive was filled with pictures of the two, many of which were taken at the beach. There don't seem to be any sharks here, Yushu said, disappointed as she looked at the calm water. This is a tourist area. Of course there won't be sharks, Meng Yao said. That Liani, how dare he lie to me? He even roasted shark meat for me. I don't believe him anymore, Yushu said angrily. Even if there was shark meat, would you dare eat it? Meng Yao said, curling her lips. Ugh. Yushu felt disgusted at the memory of Pin Liang pulling up his pants on the plane. She wouldn't dare eat shark meat if Pin Liang really did roast it for her, would she? Xiaofu saw that most of the students had gone into the water, and so he tied the shark fins on his back and dove into the water quietly. He circled around the water a couple of times, panicking when he realized that no one was paying attention to him. He didn't dare get too close to the other students, as the water in the shallow water was very clear. He'd be discovered if he got too close. But he couldn't just shout, "I'm a shark! A shark is coming!" Could he? Pin Liang was panicking as well. He wanted to be the hero of the shark fight, so he couldn't be the one to discover the shark first. It'd be best if someone else discovered it first, scaring the other students to the shore so that Pin Liang could show off his skills and kill the shark. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.